Chapter 863. That's right. Ling Xiao, you've walked right into our trap. You've killed so many people from the Nantian family. You'll have to pay with your blood. Old ancestor Nantian stood in the air like a celestial being. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. There's still my Emperor Tomb Mountain. Ling Xiao, if I give you a few more years, won't you have the power of the sky-devouring Supreme 10,000 years ago? You must die today. I love to kill geniuses and refine their corpses into a supreme zombie. Your corpse can definitely be refined into a supreme zombie. The Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord carried the black coffin on his back and was surrounded by a deathly aura. He looked at Ling Xiao with shock and greed. Many saints and elders of the Emperor Tomb Mountain could be said to have died at Ling Xiao's hands. Furthermore, before Ling Xiao became a martial saint, he already had the power to kill martial saints. Now that he had become a martial saint, his strength was probably even more terrifying. He had to nip it in the bud. Otherwise, when Ling Xiao's cultivation broke through to the 9th level of the Supreme Realm or even the titled Supreme Realm, all of them would die. With the insight of the master of Emperor Tomb Mountain, he could also see that Ling Xiao's physical body was flawless and his vitality was boundless. It was even comparable to the legendary ancient divine beasts. If he was used to refine a heavenly corpse, it would definitely be incomparably powerful and ferocious. Ling Xiao, there's still my underworld pavilion. Today, you'll pay with your life. Scholar Mia Sheng from the underworld pavilion walked over. He looked elegant and was wearing a green robe. He held a folding fan in his hand and had a handsome face like a teacher. However, those who were familiar with him knew that Scholar Mia Sheng was the king of assassins in the underworld pavilion. He killed people easily and was extremely ferocious. Star Emperor, Old Ancestor Nantian, the Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, and Scholar Mia Sheng were all 9th level of the Supreme Realm experts. They surrounded Ling Xiao and emitted a terrifying aura. Long Hanyan and the rest's faces changed instantly. Ling Xiao, leave quickly. Don't worry about us. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Don't be impulsive. Long Hanyan shouted and her eyes were filled with worry. That's right, cousin Ling Xiao. Don't worry about us. We'll just fight them. Long Patian and the others shouted. In their opinion, even though Ling Xiao's talent was extraordinary, and he was only at the 1st level of the Supreme Realm, being able to fight against Star Emperor was already an incredible feat. However, Ling Xiao was surrounded by 4 9th level Supreme Martial Artists, not to mention the 2 titled Supreme Martial Artists, Green Dragon Discipline King and the Great Sun Demon Honorable. If Ling Xiao stayed, he would definitely die. Only Big Radish's eyes revealed a hint of suspicion. He realized that Ling Xiao's expression was extremely calm, and there was not the slightest bit of fluctuation. Could it be that this kid has something to rely on? Ling Xiao's expression was very calm, but his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He stared at the 4 experts in front of him and said, I'll give you all a chance. Kneel down and admit your crimes. I can only kill the 4 of you. Otherwise, the 4 sanctuaries, Star Palace, Nantian family, Emperor Tomb Mountain and Netherworld Pavilion will all be wiped out. Ha ha ha. Little bastard, you still dare to be so arrogant when you're about to die? Let me kill you. Old Ancestor Nantian laughed out loud, and his eyes were filled with an extremely cold gaze. Rumble. Old Ancestor Nantian's body emitted a terrifying aura. The black radiance was dazzling, and it instantly gathered into an ancient and mysterious black saber in his hand, emitting an ancient and mysterious aura. It was a supreme weapon, and it was extremely terrifying. Swoosh! Old Ancestor Nantian slashed at Ling Xiao with his saber. The saber radiance was unparalleled, and it was like a long river that split the sky. Billions of saber auras gathered to form the saber, and it was extremely terrifying. Long Hanyan hugged Luoluo tightly, and her face was extremely pale. Her expression was filled with anxiety. The saber was too terrifying. Everyone from the dragon tribe felt a little suffocated, and their eyes were filled with despair. Old ancestor Nantian was already so terrifying. How could Ling Xiao block the saber? Star Emperor sneered and said, Brother Nantian used the heavenly honorable saber to perform the Nantian void-shattering slash. This saber has the ability to severely injure a 9th-level supreme martial artist. Ling Xiao is dead meat. That's right. The Nantian void-shattering slash is the strongest saber technique of the Nantian family. Together with the heavenly honorable saber, even I don't dare to take it head-on. I'd like to see what this little bastard is relying on. The Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord sneered. Star Emperor, the Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, and Scholar Extermination did not make a move. In their opinion, old ancestor Nantian alone was enough to take care of Ling Xiao. In their opinion, Ling Xiao's punch that defeated Star Emperor was just a sneak attack. A strong physical body did not represent everything. In the face of true strength, all tricks were useless. Die. Ling Xiao's expression was calm as he slammed his palm down at old ancestor Nantian. Rumble. The void trembled, and a palm that was thousands of feet large appeared in the sky. It was ancient and mysterious, like an immemorial divine mountain. It was covered in a layer of golden divine radiance, and it was densely packed with mysterious runes and ancient words. It contained an intent realm that could destroy everything. This was Ling Xiao's pure physical strength, but he had used the divine battle force. The layer of golden radiance that covered the palm print was the divine battle force, and it contained the power to destroy everything. When the palm landed, it was as if an immemorial heavenly emperor was suppressing a demon. The surrounding void shattered at the same time. Boom! Old ancestor Nantian's Nantian void-shattering slash was instantly suppressed by the palm print, and it exploded. Ling Xiao's palm print landed on the heavenly honorable saber, and a brilliant divine radiance burst out. It then landed on old ancestor Nantian's chest, pushing him into the reincarnation ocean, and it stirred up huge waves. In the reincarnation ocean, a 1,000-foot palm print appeared. A terrifying aura spread out, and it seemed to have solidified. The palm print was distinct. As for old ancestor Nantian, he was nowhere to be seen. The entire place fell into dead silence. Regardless of whether it was Star Sovereign, the Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, or Scholar Extermination, they all stared at the scene with their mouths agape. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Old ancestor Nantian was a 9th-level Supreme Realm expert, and his Nantian void-shattering slash with the heavenly honorable saber was extremely powerful. However, he was still killed by Ling Xiao's palm print. They could feel that old ancestor Nantian was like a little chick under Ling Xiao's palm print. He was instantly crushed, and his divine soul was destroyed. What a terrifying attack! Did he do it with his physical strength alone? Star Sovereign's scalp went numb, and his eyes were filled with terror. He did not feel any aura from Ling Xiao's palm print at all. It was purely physical strength, and it killed old ancestor Nantian instantly. If the palm print landed on him, he would not be any better than old ancestor Nantian, right? How can this little bastard be so strong? The Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord was also completely frightened, and his voice began to tremble slightly. Chapter 864. Could he be the legendary 9 Ultimates genius? Scholar Extermination trembled as he looked at Ling Xiao with fear in his eyes. 9 Ultimates genius? These 4 words seemed to have infinite magical power, causing the Star Emperor, the Master of Emperor Tomb Mountain, the Scholar of Extermination, and the sovereigns of the various sacred lands to look solemn. He is so powerful. Long Hanyan was also stunned by Ling Xiao's blow. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as though she was in a dream. Brother Ling Xiao is so powerful. He killed that bad guy with a single palm strike. We're saved. Luo said excitedly. She looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of admiration. Is this cousin Ling Xiao's combat power? He killed a LV9 Supreme Realm expert with one blow. Could he have the combat power of a titled Supreme Realm expert? Many crown princes and elders from the dragon tribe were shocked. Then, They instantly cheered as their eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Xiao's palm made them see hope. 9 Ultimates Genius. I'm afraid it's more than that. This fellow has really given me a huge surprise. Big Radish laughed bitterly. He took a deep look at Ling Xiao and his entire body began to relax. In the sky, Azure Dragon Discipline King and the Great Sun Demon Venerable also looked at Ling Xiao with a deep gaze, revealing a trace of shock. Even if the two of them were titled Supreme Realm Experts, they wouldn't be able to kill old ancestor Nantian as easily as Ling Xiao. How could this guy have such terrifying combat power? The first one. Those who offend my family will be killed without mercy. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold as he looked at Star Emperor, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, Scholar Extermination, and the honorable beings. Everyone couldn't help but tremble. They suddenly realized that the young man before them wasn't arrogant. Instead, he had sufficient reliance and confidence. That was a combat power that could sweep the world. Given how he was able to kill a 9th-level Venerable Realm Expert with a single palm strike, the only ones who would be a match for him were probably conferred paragons. Rumble. Ling Xiao soared through the sky, his blood qi overflowing into the sky as he punched towards Star Sovereign, Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, and Life-Exterminating Scholar. After going through the 108 tribulations of the Supreme Being, Ling Xiao's true dragon body had reached the great accomplishment stage. He was not far off from the Supreme True Dragon in his previous life. Just by relying on his physical strength, he could unleash unparalleled combat strength. Therefore, he did not use any divine ability or killing technique. He only relied on the strength of his physical body to attack the 3 powerhouses. Everyone, let's attack together. He must have used some forbidden technique just now. Don't be afraid of him. Let's attack together and kill him. Star Emperor roared. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he charged towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. Behind Star Emperor, dazzling rays of light filled the air, as if a vast starry sky had appeared. Billions of stars were swaying, and one by one, the stars eventually converged into a mysterious figure, like a god from the Archean antiquity, charging towards Ling Xiao. Myriad Star Soaring Technique. This was the supreme divine skill of Star Palace, far surpassing the supreme martial skill. Although it was only an incomplete divine skill, it still unleashed terrifying power. Kill. The Emperor Tomb Mountain Master and Scholar Mia Sheng looked at each other and charged towards Ling Xiao. A black ancient sword appeared in the Emperor Tomb Mountain Master's hand. The sword radiance filled the sky, and every stroke was like the river of the underworld, emitting the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves. The chilly wind howled, as if it was going to send people into hell. Moreover, the black coffin behind the Emperor Tomb Mountain Master opened, and a supreme heavenly corpse that was emitting golden light appeared. It had sharp fangs, and its body seemed to be cast in gold. It emitted a ferocious aura and charged towards Ling Xiao. As for Scholar Mia Sheng, his body flashed, as if he was hiding in the void. An obscure killing intent filled the air, as if a fatal blow could be unleashed at any time. When the 3 rank 9 Supreme Realm powerhouses attacked, the terrifying power seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. Even titled Supreme Realm powerhouses would look askance at it. The 3 of them were originally stronger than old ancestor Nantian. Now that they had joined forces to attack, they unleashed their ultimate killing moves in an attempt to kill Ling Xiao. Long Hanyan hugged Luoluo tightly, and her eyes were filled with nervousness. Many members of the dragon tribe were also watching the battle in the void, and they were praying for Ling Xiao. Die! Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent, and the golden light around him was extremely bright. He swept across the 9 heavens like a supreme true dragon, and he threw a punch towards Star Emperor. After his rebirth, there were not many people whom Ling Xiao valued. However, his parents were definitely the reverse scale in his heart, and anyone who touched them would die. Therefore, in Ling Xiao's heart, he had already sentenced these people to death. Rumble. A terrifying fist print swept across the void. Ling Xiao activated his true dragon body with the power of the god of war. Although he did not have any powerful combat skills, his physical strength alone could shatter the void, shatter the stars, and burn the rivers and drain the seas. The 1,000 stars flying technique that Star Emperor had unleashed was extraordinary. The divine spirit that was formed by thousands of stars had almost reached the strength of a titled supreme being, and it collided violently with Ling Xiao's fist. Crack! Ling Xiao's fist print was shocking, and the power of the god of war contained a force that could shatter everything. As soon as the divine spirit made contact with Ling Xiao's fist print, it began to shatter, and endless rays of light gushed out. Ling Xiao's fist did not slow down, and it landed directly on Star Emperor's body. Boom! Dazzling runes exploded on Star Emperor's body. It was a supreme battle armor, and it contained a powerful defensive force. However, it only lasted for a moment before it shattered. Puff! Star Emperor suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and he was thrown back a few hundred feet. His eyes were filled with horror. If it was not for the supreme battle armor that he was wearing, he would have been killed by Ling Xiao's fist, just like old ancestor Nantian. Only when he faced Ling Xiao, did he know how terrifying Ling Xiao was. It was a force that could suppress the heavens, and it was invincible, and it made people lose their fighting spirit and confidence. Clang! The Emperor Tomb Mountain Master's black ancient sword was like a long black river, and it slashed towards Ling Xiao's neck from behind. It was extremely sharp, as if it could pierce through everything. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and he wanted to take advantage of the fact that Ling Xiao was severely injured to cut off Ling Xiao's head. However, Ling Xiao seemed to have eyes on his back. He turned around instantly, and 2 fingers caught the Emperor Tomb Mountain Master's black ancient sword. How is this possible? The Emperor Tomb Mountain Master's scalp went numb. Ling Xiao's physical body could withstand a supreme weapon. Could he be an Archean divine beast? Boom! Chapter 865. After seeing the fate of old ancestor Nantian and Star Sovereign, the Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain no longer dared to take Ling Xiao's attack head-on. He instantly retreated backwards. However, Ling Xiao's attack was extremely fast. It was like a shadow that had completely locked onto the Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain. He was determined to kill him. Block it for me! The Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain shouted crazily. The Supreme Sky Corpse instantly blocked in front of him. It emitted a ferocious aura as it threw a punch at Ling Xiao. The Sky Corpse had been refined by the Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain until it had an indestructible body. Even a supreme weapon couldn't leave any marks on its body. However, Ling Xiao didn't dodge. He actually took the Sky Corpse's punch head-on. His body didn't even sway. The blood energy around him filled the sky and instantly dissolved the Sky Corpse's punch. Clang! When Ling Xiao's palm landed on the Sky Corpse's chest, it actually emitted a metallic sound. In an instant, light shone brightly and a terrifying palm print appeared on the Sky Corpse's chest. Crack! With the palm print as the center, the originally incomparably powerful Sky Corpse began to crack. Dense cracks appeared all over its body, like a porcelain that was about to shatter. Roar! The Sky Corpse seemed to have gone mad. It looked up to the sky and roared. The golden light around its body was dazzling, as if it had turned into a dazzling vortex. It began to crazily devour the energy between heaven and earth. Its broken body became complete in an instant. Sky Corpse. I'd like to see how many of my punches you can take. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. The power of the god of war circulated throughout his body. He was also shrouded in golden light. His blood energy filled the sky. He was like an undefeatable god of war as he threw a punch at the Sky Corpse. Rumble. The Sky Corpse was like a live target. Every time Ling Xiao's punch landed, the Sky Corpse would violently tremble. Its body was about to explode. However, the Sky Corpse's terrifying attacks couldn't pose any threat to Ling Xiao. If this continued, the Sky Corpse would be destroyed by Ling Xiao sooner or later. The Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain's eyes were filled with incomparable shock and pain. Every supreme sky corpse needed countless years to be nurtured. Even in the entire Emperor Tomb Mountain, there were only 3 sky corpses. Sky Corpse Lock, explode. The Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord suddenly roared. Rumble. The sky corpse roared and stared at Ling Xiao with its blood-red moon-like eyes. Its entire body exuded a ferocious aura. Then, with a loud boom, it exploded and turned into a dazzling golden light. Whoosh! Whoosh! Golden chains shot out from the sky corpse's body, crossing the void and intertwining with each other. They were full of golden runes, binding Ling Xiao in an instant. Ling Xiao was like a huge dumpling, his entire body bound by the resplendent golden light, unable to move. This is a good opportunity. Let's kill him together. The master of Emperor Tomb Mountain and Star Sovereign looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with excitement as they charged towards Ling Xiao at the same time. The golden chain that shot out from the sky corpse was the Sky Corpse Lock. It contained an endless amount of sky corpse chi and was integrated with the laws of heaven and earth. It was incomparably strong. Even a supreme weapon could not break it. However, after using this move, the sky corpse would be greatly damaged. It would probably take thousands of years to recover. However, as long as they could kill Ling Xiao, the master of Emperor Tomb Mountain was willing to pay any price. Ling Xiao was too terrifying, causing the hearts of the 3 overlords from the 3 Saint Lands to tremble in fear. Astral River Storm. Emperor Tomb Divine Fist. Mountain River Seal. Star Sovereign, the master of Emperor Tomb Mountain and Scholar Extermination roared at the same time and unleashed their most terrifying attacks. Star Emperor was surrounded by a Milky Way storm, shattering the heavens and the earth. Endless turbulence of the void gathered behind him, forming a vast storm of destruction that swept towards Ling Xiao. The Emperor's Tomb Mountain Lord was surrounded by a deathly aura as his divine power began to burn. This was the Emperor's Tomb Mountain Lord's divine power. It contained the power of destruction and death. It turned into a 1,000-meter-long fist that smashed down towards Ling Xiao. Scholar Annihilation's aura appeared in every corner of the void. Heaven, earth, mountains, rivers, and the surrounding world seemed to begin to collapse. In the end, it turned into an ancient divine seal that seemed to contain the power of endless mountains and rivers. It wanted to turn everything into dust. Rumble. The all-out attacks of the 3 utmost powerful beings landed on Ling Xiao's body at the same time. Instantly, the heavens trembled as the void around Ling Xiao exploded. The samsara seawater below was swept up into the heavens as well, turning into a chaotic power of samsara that swept up towards Ling Xiao. The momentum was too terrifying. It was like a bright divine sun had exploded above the reincarnation sea. The light was so bright that no one could open their eyes. Xiao, Long Hanyon's face instantly turned pale. Ling Xiao was trapped by the Sky Corpse Lock and took the attacks of the 3 overlords at the same time. Could he still survive? Ling Xiao, you have to hold on. Many people from the dragon tribe were anxious as they looked at the center of the battle in the distance. If Ling Xiao died, they would have no hope at all. Ha ha ha. Ling Xiao is dead meat. That's right. Being trapped by the Sky Corpse Lock and the all-out attack of the 3 overlords, even a titled supreme being can't take it. Ling Xiao is dead meat. So what if he's a 9-severing genius? Dead geniuses are nothing. The supreme beings from the 6 great sanctuaries had cold looks in their eyes as they discussed. Previously, Ling Xiao's terrifying combat strength had made them feel extremely pressured. However, at this moment, they all relaxed at the same time. Star King, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Life Scribe stared at Ling Xiao's location, not daring to relax. Is Ling Xiao dead? Even if he's not dead, I'm afraid he's severely injured. Star King sneered. This little bastard's combat strength is too strong. However, with the Sky Corpse Lock, he's definitely dead. Emperor Tomb Mountain Master said coldly. Is that so? At this moment, an indifferent voice suddenly sounded in their ears. What? Star King, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Life Scribe looked as though they had seen a ghost. Their eyes were filled with horror. Rumble. The bright light dissipated, and within the Sky Corpse lock, Ling Xiao's eyes were indifferent. The light around him was dazzling, and he was not injured at all. The full blow of the three Supremes had landed on Ling Xiao's body, but he was not injured at all. Star King, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Life Scribe were in disbelief. All of you are too weak. Therefore, all of you can die. Ling Xiao said flatly. Rumble. A terrifying aura instantly erupted from Ling Xiao's body, causing the sky to tremble and the surrounding void to vibrate. The extremely sturdy Sky Corpse lock on his body instantly shone brightly before it shattered. Ling Xiao bathed in the light that filled the sky. His clothes were whiter than snow, his black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were dazzling. He walked towards the three Supremes step by step, like a divine king that had descended to the mortal world. Rumble. Ling Xiao threw out a punch. The fist print was extremely powerful, as though it had covered the entire heaven and earth. Star King, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Life Scribe had no chance to dodge. It was as though the entire heaven and earth were pressing down on them. Although the three of them had performed extremely powerful techniques to block Ling Xiao's punch, they were still helpless. No matter how many techniques you have, I'll break them with a punch. Puff. 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 Chapter 866. In the Sky Corpse lock, Ling Xiao had withstood the full blow of the three honorable martial artists because they wanted to see the limits of his physical body. Ling Xiao's true dragon body had reached the great success stage and the divine war power had gathered around him. In addition to the sky-devouring secret skill, he was able to withstand the full blow of the three honorable martial artists without being injured. Even a titled honorable martial artist would not dare to take the full blow of Star Emperor, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Scholar. However, Star Emperor, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Scholar were all severely injured by Ling Xiao's attack. Everyone was shocked. A LV1 Supreme Martial Artist had crushed 3 LV9 Supreme Martial Artists. How many years had it been since such a peerless talent had appeared in the God of War continent? Cousin Ling Xiao is too powerful. Could it be that he already has the combat strength of a titled honorable martial artist? Long Patian was trembling and his eyes were filled with excitement. Since Ling Xiao is a 9 Marvels genius and a LV1 Supreme Martial Artist, he naturally has the combat strength of a titled honorable martial artist. It is easy for him to crush a LV9 Supreme Martial Artist. I didn't expect that our dragon tribe would finally have a peerless genius. He is a 9 Marvels genius. How many years has it been since such a genius appeared in the God of War continent? The Yin and Yang Supreme Elders were trembling with excitement as if they felt the same glory. Mother, brother Ling Xiao will definitely chase those bad guys away. Luo Luo was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. Her big eyes turned into crescents as she smiled innocently. Xiao, this is my Xiao, Long Hanyan's heart was surging with emotions, she was so excited that she could not control herself. Rumble. Ling Xiao stepped on the void and walked over. His body exuded an unparalleled aura as his cold killing intent locked onto Star Emperor, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, and Exterminating Scholar. The faces of the three men instantly turned incomparably pale. Their faces were ghastly and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao, who was originally like an ant in their eyes, had grown to such a terrifying level. Master Discipline King, Lord Demon Venerable, please kill this little bastard. Star Emperor gritted his teeth and turned to Green Dragon Discipline King and Great Sun Demon Venerable. Sirs, please kill him. Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord and Life Extermination Scholar were completely terrified and begged at the same time. Today, no one can save you. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold. He slammed his palm across the air. The terrifying palm print was like an immemorial divine mountain, pressing down on the three of them. How dare you? At this moment, a cold voice exploded in the void. Rumble. The Azure Dragon Discipline King moved. His eyes were cold and his face was dignified. He was like a celestial emperor on patrol. His entire body exuded an incomparably terrifying dragon's might as he threw a punch at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, who gave you the guts to kill someone in front of me? Azure Dragon Discipline King said indifferently. Accompanied by the dragon roars of the heavens, 3,000 true dragons flew across the sky. The heaven and earth seemed to be on the verge of shattering. The ferocious and terrifying dragon power seemed to want to turn everything into dust. 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique, 3,000 true dragons soar in the sky. Ling Xiao is dead for sure. Discipline King Qing Long's 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique is the best in the world. It has even slaughtered titled supremes. Star Emperor looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of hatred. That's right. The 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique is the ultimate technique of the ancient dragon tribe. It was bestowed to Discipline King Qing Long by the god of war. Although Discipline King Qing Long is not from the dragon tribe, he is better than the dragon tribe. Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord sneered. Ling Xiao is dead for sure. Life Extermination Scholar said coldly. Previously, Big Radish's barrier had been destroyed by Discipline King Qing Long's 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique. Everyone was full of confidence in Discipline King Qing Long rumble. Ling Xiao and Discipline King Qing Long's fists collided. The void instantly shattered and turbulence filled the sky, turning into a terrifying storm. It merged the power of 3,000 true dragons and seemed to want to turn Ling Xiao into dust. 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He did not expect Discipline King Qing Long of the War God Hall to know the 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique. You are not from the dragon tribe, but you dare to cultivate the supreme technique of the dragon tribe. Damn it. Today, I will show you what the true 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique is. Rumble. The sky rumbled as Ling Xiao's palm slammed toward Discipline King Qing Long immediately. A monstrous dragon aura exploded and dragon roars resounded between heaven and earth. Roar! 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 Behind Ling Xiao, a chaotic mist filled the air as if a vast world was rising. As he slammed his palm across the sky, similarly, 3,000 true dragons roamed the world with a ferocious aura. Boom! Discipline King Qing Long's 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique was like a piece of paper. The 3,000 true dragons instantly shattered and the fist print was turned into dust. What? You know the 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique too? Discipline King Qing Long's expression changed drastically and his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, Ling Xiao's palm had already landed. It was like a divine mountain that contained the power to suppress everything. Clang! Azure Dragon Dharmaraja's palm slashed horizontally like a vast heavenly river and instantly collided with the 10,000 zhang tall divine mountain. Heaven and earth trembled and divine light burst forth. 3,000 true dragons roared at the same time. Everyone felt an extremely oppressive aura, and their faces turned pale in an instant. Discipline King Qing Long's palm was shattered. Ling Xiao's palm contained the power to crush everything and directly swept away the saber light in the sky. Then, it ruthlessly imprinted on Discipline King Qing Long's arm. Boom! One of Discipline King Qing Long's arms instantly exploded into a bloody mist. His entire body was also sent flying a few hundred feet by Ling Xiao before he could stabilize his body. Roar! Ling Xiao strode over with golden true dragons circling around his body. His black hair fluttered in the wind and his dragon aura was vast. He was like an ancient divine dragon that controlled everything and was unstoppable. Star Sovereign, Emperor Tomb Mountain's master, and Scholar Extermination, who originally believed that Discipline King Qing Long would win, were instantly dumbfounded as if they had been slapped in the face. They didn't dare to believe that Ling Xiao not only knew the 1,000 dragons god-slaughtering technique, but he was even more powerful than Discipline King Qing Long. He actually defeated Discipline King Qing Long with a single palm. Ling Xiao, where did you get the 1,000 dragons god slaughtering technique? If you don't explain yourself today, I will definitely make you beg for death. Disciplined King Qinglong glared at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with murderous intent and his face was ashen. I am a member of the Dragon Clan. The 1,000 dragons god slaughtering technique was naturally passed down to me by a senior from the Dragon Clan. On the other hand, you are just a sun-swallowing snake. How dare you covet the supreme technique of my Dragon Clan? You really deserve to die. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold as he stared at Disciplined King Qinglong. He had already heard from Big Radish that Disciplined King Qinglong was the main culprit who destroyed the Crystal Palace's divine array. Countless members of the Dragon Clan in the Crystal Palace had died at the hands of Disciplined King Qinglong. Ling Xiao's hand was filled with murderous intent. He would definitely not let Disciplined King Qinglong off. You can actually see my true form. Disciplined King Qinglong stared at Ling Xiao as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Chapter 867. The sun-devouring snake was an ancient mutated species. Legend had it that it could devour the sun. Ling Xiao felt a strong dragon bloodline from Disciplined King Azure Dragon's body. It was the dragon bloodline that allowed him to use the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. The Dragon Clan's bloodline was probably extracted from the Dragon Clan's experts by the Azure Dragon Disciplined King when he slaughtered them. Disciplined King Azure Dragon's hands were stained with the blood of the dragon race. He deserved to die. No. The dragon race doesn't have the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. Even the Imperial Dragon scripture is incomplete. Only Long Ong, the leader of the dragon race a million years ago, had the true 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. Did you find Long Ang's inheritance? Ling Xiao, hand over Long Ang's inheritance and I can spare your life. Azure Dragon Disciplined King seemed to have thought of something. His eyes flashed and he suddenly revealed a look of incomparable greed. Long Ang's inheritance was the most orthodox inheritance of the true dragon. It contained the complete 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique and the Imperial Dragon scripture. It was extremely attractive to Disciplined King Azure Dragon. You're about to die and you still dare to covet Senior Long Ang's inheritance. You've brought this upon yourself. Today, I'll kill you with the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with killing intent as he charged towards Disciplined King Azure Dragon. Rumble. The world trembled as Ling Xiao's true dragon body erupted. His body was invincible. His entire body emitted a terrifying wave that seemed to be able to tear the sky apart. His every punch and move contained the power to shatter space. At this moment, Ling Xiao used the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. The true dragons were like real dragons, terrifying to the extreme. After Ling Xiao became a supreme, his strength had increased by more than 100 times. In Ling Xiao's hands, the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique had also reached the small success stage. Roar! A terrifying dragon roar shook the world. Ling Xiao's palm covered the sky. Immediately, 9,000 true dragons appeared and covered the entire sky above the reincarnation sea. Against this monstrous palm, Disciplined King Azure Dragon had no room to dodge. You actually have the bloodline of the divine dragon in your body? Ha ha ha. Truly, the heavens have not let me down. As long as I kill you, I will be able to cultivate the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique to the great perfection stage. Ling Xiao, prepare to die. Instead of being shocked, Azure Dragon Disciplined King was overjoyed. His eyes were filled with greed. Wang! A cyan dragon-shaped ancient sword appeared in his palm. There were mysterious patterns on it, and its aura was monstrous. The dragon-shaped ancient sword spat out a monstrous sharpness and slashed towards Ling Xiao. Suddenly, the Milky Way was vast and mighty, and chaos rose. Under this sword, heaven and earth were overturned, as if the world was going to be destroyed. Endless sword light slashed towards Ling Xiao. It's the Dragon God Sword. I didn't expect the Azure Dragon Disciplined King to bring the Dragon God Sword. The great sun demon Venerable's eyes flashed and he was shocked. In the legends, the dragon god's sword was the clan protection treasure of the dragon clan. It was also given to discipline King Azure Dragon by Lord War God. It was a supreme divine weapon. Although it was damaged, its true power far surpassed ordinary sovereign weapons. Now that it was being activated by Master Azure Dragon, that terrifying power seemed to be able to sweep away all supremes. It was as if it had touched the legendary realm of gods. Rumble. A palm print swept across the sky, and 9,000 true dragons intertwined. It contained a terrifying power, and when it collided with the dragon god's sword, it instantly exploded. The sky was filled with dazzling divine light, and the void shattered. Ling Xiao's palm landed on the dragon god's sword, and instantly, dazzling runes exploded, flattening the reincarnation sea by a few dozen feet. Boom! Ling Xiao and disciplined King Azure Dragon both trembled and retreated a few hundred feet. Ha ha ha! Ling Xiao, today I will use Long Ang's sword to kill you and take away the dragon clan's supreme inheritance. Die! Disciplined King Azure Dragon sneered. He held the dragon god's sword in his hand, and his body emitted a powerful divinity fluctuation as he charged towards Ling Xiao. Dragon god's sword. Today, the dragon god's sword shall be returned to its rightful owner. Disciplined King Azure Dragon, do you think that is my true power? Ling Xiao said indifferently, and a dazzling light flashed in his eyes. What? Disciplined King Azure Dragon was stunned. He had a bad feeling in his heart. Today, I will let you see what the true Thousand Dragons god slaying skill is. Because, it can really slay gods. Ling Xiao said coldly, and instantly attacked. Rumble. The sky shattered, and behind Ling Xiao, a chaotic mist filled the air. Heaven and earth rose, and the roars of dragons resounded. Behind Ling Xiao, tens of thousands of true dragons gathered at the same time. The power of 10,000 true dragons caused disciplined King Azure Dragon's expression to change. His heart began to tremble unconsciously. Boom! Ling Xiao's palm swept across the sky, and the tens of thousands of true dragons turned into a dazzling divine light. A giant dragon emitting 7-colored light flew out from it. Although the 7-colored giant dragon looked to be only a few hundred feet long, its ferocious aura was even more terrifying than tens of thousands of true dragons. Because, this was a true divine dragon. 7-colored divine dragon. The 7-colored divine dragon coiled around Ling Xiao's palm. It was ancient and mysterious, ferocious and unfathomable. In an instant, it arrived in front of disciplined King Azure Dragon. How can you use the power of a divine dragon? This is impossible. Dragon God Sword, kill. Disciplined King Azure Dragon's eyes were filled with disbelief. With a roar, the dragon god's sword in his hand shone brightly, and he slashed at the 7-colored divine dragon. Rumble. The blazing sword radiance was extremely terrifying, but it was instantly shattered by Ling Xiao's palm. The 7-colored divine dragon crashed into the dragon god's sword, and at the same time, imprinted on disciplined King Azure Dragon's chest. Monstrous power instantly erupted. Puff! Disciplined King Azure Dragon spat out blood, and his eyes were filled with horror. He was instantly sent flying a few hundred feet, and he crashed into the reincarnation sea. Even the dragon god's sword flew out of his hand. The power of a palm was so great. Whether it was Long Han Yen, the people from the dragon tribe, Star Sovereign, Emperor Tomb Mountain Master, Exterminating Scholar, the honorable beings from the 6 great sanctuaries, or even the great sun demon Honorable, they were all stunned. Previously, Ling Xiao had the combat power of a titled Supreme. He killed old ancestor Nantian with one punch, and defeated 3 supreme beings with one palm. They had already overestimated Ling Xiao's combat power. But now, they realized that they had still underestimated Ling Xiao's combat power. How was this combat power comparable to a titled Supreme? It was simply crushing a titled Supreme, invincible in the Supreme Realm. Was this really the power that a young man at the first level of the Supreme Realm could unleash? Everyone felt like they were in a dream. Oh my god, Ling Xiao actually broke the taboo and advanced to the legend realm, becoming an unprecedented 10 Ultimates genius? Big Radish swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and its eyes were filled with shock. Previously, it had only guessed that Ling Xiao's combat power might not only be a 9 Ultimates genius, but now that it had seen Ling Xiao defeat Discipline King Azure Dragon, it was still in disbelief. 10 Ultimates genius. That was almost a legend. In everyone's knowledge, there had never been a 10 Ultimates genius in the past million years. Even the sword demon Dugu Chilbai was probably only at the 9 Ultimates realm. Perhaps such a person had appeared in the primordial age, and that person was no longer a human, but a true god. 10 Ultimates genius. How is this possible? The voice of the Emperor Tomb Mountain Master was trembling, and his eyes were filled with horror. This little bastard, how could he be so strong? Star Sovereign's eyes were filled with unwillingness, but his body began to tremble uncontrollably. The legendary 10 Ultimates genius, breaking the taboo, advancing to the legend realm, and being invincible. And now, he had really appeared in front of them. Chapter 868. Rumble. The reincarnation seawater exploded as the chaotic reincarnation energy surged. Discipline King Azure Dragon rushed out of the reincarnation seawater. However, he was in a sorry state. His hair was disheveled, his face was pale, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. There was a big hole in his chest, and blood was spurting out. Ling Xiao had pierced through his chest. Even though a titled supreme being had strong vitality and could recover in a short time, Discipline King Azure Dragon was still severely injured. Ling Xiao's attack was simply too terrifying. 10,000 dragons god-slaying skill, 10,000 true dragons condensed into a 7-colored divine dragon. The power was almost beyond the limit of a titled supreme being. Even Discipline King Azure Dragon could not withstand it. Cough cough. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. Everyone, let's kill him. Discipline King Azure Dragon's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent as he coughed out blood. The murderous intent in his heart had reached its peak. Rumble. The dragon god's sword turned into a ray of light and flew back into Discipline King Azure Dragon's hand. Discipline King Azure Dragon's body shone brightly as his blood aura spread out. It burned instantly, causing his aura to skyrocket. Discipline King Azure Dragon is going all out. Everyone, let's kill Ling Xiao today. Star Emperor roared as his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Rumble. The Star Sovereign, the Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, the Extermination Scholar, and more than a dozen supreme beings from the 6 great sacred grounds attacked at the same time. Streaks of blazing divine light swept across the sky as if they were going to tear apart the heavens and the earth. With Discipline King Azure Dragon's arrogance, he would not join forces with everyone to attack Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao's attack had frightened him. Legend had it that Ling Xiao was a 10 extremities genius who had broken the taboo and become a legend. Such a peerless genius combat strength could not be measured by cultivation base. If the battle continued, Discipline King Azure Dragon might really die here. Hence, he would rather put down his pride and join forces with the Great Sun Demon Honorable and others to kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. The Great Sun Demon Honorable also attacked. Blazing divine light surged around him, and there seemed to be a bright divine sun rising behind him. The Great Sun Demon Venerable's hair and beard were all white, and he looked like an immortal. His eyes were extremely sharp, and they were filled with an extremely cold sharpness. Ling Xiao, die. The Great Sun Demon Venerable said coldly as he slammed his palm down towards Ling Xiao. Suddenly, the palm print shocked the heavens. 10 suns appeared in the 9 heavens, rumbling as they descended. The blazing flames seemed to want to burn the world, turning everything into ashes. It's the Great Sun Demon Venerable's 10 sun burning heavens technique. This is a true deity-level martial art. Ling Xiao is dead for sure. Kill him. Star Emperor and the others were shocked. They were filled with confidence, and their eyes were filled with coldness. The 10 suns burning the heavens technique was said to be an ancient divine technique. It contained the power to burn rivers and overturn seas. When used, it was like a divine sun descending from the 9 heavens, wanting to burn the world. The great sun demon Highness had once slain a titled 9 heavens with the 10 suns burning sky art. It was extremely powerful. Kill! Azure Dragon Discipline King also roared. He burned all the essence and blood in his body and poured it into the dragon god's sword, causing the sword to burst out with incomparably bright light. Rays of divine light were awakened, containing extremely terrifying sharpness, and slashed across the sky toward Ling Xiao. The dragon god's sword swept across 90,000 miles with unparalleled sword chi. It was like a Milky Way across the 9 heavens, slashing towards Ling Xiao. With Azure Dragon Discipline King and the Great Sun Demon Venerable as the leaders, in addition to a dozen titled 9 heavens, this force was extremely terrifying. It was almost comparable to the legendary deities. However, Ling Xiao's eyes were still extremely calm. So what if you come together? You are just a bunch of weaklings. Why should I be afraid? Ling Xiao's indifferent voice exploded in the void. Boom! He instantly soared into the sky as the blood essence around him rose. The golden light was extremely dazzling, and a majestic dragon aura resounded between the heavens and the earth. Roar! Ling Xiao was bathed in dazzling golden light, and he turned into a golden true dragon. He traversed the heavens, and the dragon aura filled the air as he soared through the 9 heavens. This was the supreme superpower that Ling Xiao had awakened after he became a titled 9 Heavens Supreme. He could transform into a primordial true dragon with unparalleled divine aura that could suppress everything. Swoosh! The huge true dragon swept across the heavens, sweeping towards the great sun demon Venerable. It was as if a golden divine light storm had been set off. The golden dragon's scales were like blades, and they instantly slashed onto a divine sun, exploding with terrifying power. Boom! That divine sun exploded, and the true dragon was unparalleled. Its speed was extremely fast, and it charged towards the great sun demon Venerable's palm. The 10 divine suns formed by the 10 heavens burning skill were all swept away by the true dragon, and they all exploded in the sky. The sky was filled with true sun fire. Under the great sun demon Venerable's control, it seemed as if it was going to completely refine Ling Xiao. However, the true dragon that Ling Xiao had transformed into was bathed in flames, and his body exuded a divine light. He was not affected at all. What? The great sun demon Venerable's eyes narrowed. He felt as if he was really facing a primordial true dragon. That terrifying dragon aura made his heart tremble. Boom! The huge true dragon claw grabbed at the great sun demon Venerable, and that horrifying palm print was crushed. The true dragon swept across the sky and clashed with the great sun demon Venerable. The huge dragon tail sent the great sun demon Venerable flying. Kill! Ling Xiao's battle intent surged, and his golden dragon eyes were filled with cold killing intent. After he sent the great sun demon Venerable flying, he charged towards the titled 9 Heavens Supreme. Those titled 9 Heavens Supreme were only at level 4 or 5. How could they be a match for Ling Xiao? Seeing the ferocious true dragon charging towards them, all of them felt their scalps go numb. They quickly executed their strongest attacks, trying to push the true dragon back. However, when their attacks landed on the true dragon's body, they couldn't even break through the dragon's scales, let alone injure Ling Xiao. The true dragon that Ling Xiao had transformed into was surrounded by golden light, and there were circles of golden vortexes that contained a terrifying devouring power. That was the power of the heaven-devouring secret skill. No matter what kind of attack it would all be devoured. Kacha! The huge dragon tail swept across the sky like a golden blade radiance. In an instant, it destroyed a black ancient sword. Then, the dragon tail struck 2 titled 9 Heavens Supreme. Boom! They didn't even have time to scream before they exploded into a bloody mist in the sky. Swoosh! The true dragon took a big gulp, and the flesh and primordial spirits of the 2 titled 9 Heavens Supreme were devoured. They turned into boundless energy that was refined and absorbed by the true dragon. The flesh and primordial spirits of titled 9 Heavens Supreme contained boundless essence, and it was comparable to a supreme elixir. A drop of titled 9 Heavens Supreme's blood could allow a low-level martial artist to break through a few realms. Chapter 869. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. The great sun demon Reverend's eyes were filled with killing intent. The two sovereigns that were killed by Ling Xiao were the elders of the Sky Demon Palace. He roared and a crimson golden battle saber appeared in his hand. It contained flames and ominous aura as it slashed towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. The radiance from the crimson golden battle saber was unstoppable. It was as though a golden divine bird covered in flames was flying across the sky. Its golden wings were as sharp as blades and it had 3 legs. It was the legendary ancient divine beast, the 3-legged golden crow. At the same time, the dragon god's sword also slashed towards Ling Xiao. The sword chi swept across the sky and created huge waves above the reincarnation sea. Roar! Ling Xiao's golden eyes were filled with sharpness. He suddenly roared towards the sky and the dragon roar shook the sky. The space around him shattered. The huge dragon pounced across the sky and its sharp claws clashed with the crimson golden battle saber. Clang! 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 Sparks flew as the dragon roared in the sky and fought with the 3-legged golden crow. In the end, the 3-legged golden crow was smashed into pieces and the dragon claw slammed onto the crimson golden battle saber. An earth-shattering divine force exploded and the great sun demon Reverend's arm went numb. He almost lost all feeling in his arm and was sent flying. Boom! The dragon that Ling Xiao transformed into swept its tail and shattered the sword chi in the sky. Together with the dragon god's sword, it slammed onto the green dragon Discipline King. Green dragon Discipline King coughed out blood and was sent flying. Swoosh! The golden true dragon swept through the void at an extremely fast speed. It stretched out its claws and pierced through the chests of the 4 supremes like a golden lightning bolt. It was unstoppable like a skewer of candied hawthorn. Rumble. The 4 supremes exploded in the void and were swallowed by the true dragon in one gulp. The true dragon that Ling Xiao transformed into swept across the 9 heavens with an unstoppable momentum, shocking everyone. The dragon that cousin Ling Xiao transformed into, the strength of his bloodline is probably close to the divine dragon bloodline realm. It's too terrifying. Long Patian sighed and his eyes were filled with shock. The supreme elders of the 6 great dragon tribes were also dumbfounded. The vast dragon aura that Ling Xiao exuded caused their hearts to tremble. Compared to Ling Xiao, it was as if Ling Xiao was a true dragon. Is this the body of a true dragon? A complete dragon body can kill celestial beings and defeat titled battle pet warriors. I can't believe that Xiao has reached such a level. Long Hanyan was also excited as she exclaimed. Ling Xiao had also imparted the ancestral dragon secret skill to Long Hanyan. Naturally, Long Hanyan could tell that what Ling Xiao displayed was the power of the true dragon body. With just the strength of his physical body, he was able to suppress 2 titled battle pet warriors and kill many honorable ones. This kind of strength was terrifying to the extreme. This fellow is really a pervert. Big Radish widened its eyes and said speechlessly. However, everyone was visibly relaxed. With Ling Xiao around, they were completely safe. Hold him back. My war god temple's 2 great Empyreans are about to arrive. When the 2 great Empyreans arrive, Ling Xiao will definitely die. The Azure Dragon Discipline King transmitted his voice to the Great Sun Demon Supremacy and roared. All right. The Great Sun Demon Supremacy's eyes revealed a tinge of madness. Rumble. The Azure Dragon Discipline King's body shone brightly and he turned into a huge green snake that was 10,000 feet long. His body was emitting green divine light and his snake scales were dazzling. He raised his triangular snake head high and his eyes were filled with viciousness. It was the original body of the Azure Dragon Discipline King, the sun-devouring boss snake. The great sun demon Supremacy's body shone brightly and flames rose as he revealed his original body. Chirp! A sharp chirp that could pierce through gold and stones was heard. The great sun demon Supremacy turned into a golden divine bird that was 10,000 feet tall. His body was covered in golden flames and he had 3 legs. His body shone brightly like a golden sun. Three-legged golden crow. Long Han Yen exclaimed. She did not expect the original body of the great sun demon Supremacy to be a 3-legged golden crow. The great sun demon Supremacy was very mysterious. Even Long Lai did not know what his original body was. Now, it seemed that the great sun demon Supremacy possessed the bloodline of the ancient divine beast, the 3-legged golden crow. Even if he was not a pure-blooded divine beast, he was not far from it. Rumble. The heavens and earth shook and the void shattered. The swallowing sun boss serpent and the 3-legged golden crow emitted ferocious auras as they charged towards the huge golden dragon. Above the reincarnation sea, huge waves billowed and the chaotic reincarnation power filled the air. The 3 ancient divine beasts clashed. Swoosh! The swallowing sun boss serpent was ferocious. Its body swept across the sky and it wanted to entangle the dragon. It contained an extremely strong strangling force. The 3-legged golden crow's speed was extremely fast. Its 3 sharp claws were like sharp blades as they swiped towards the dragon's head. Those 3 sharp claws were even more terrifying than a supreme weapon. Even a mountain range would be turned into dust in an instant. Rumble. The huge true dragon reached out with its claws and clashed with the 3-legged golden crow. There was a burst of brilliant golden light. Then, it spat out a beam of golden destructive light from its mouth and slammed into the boss serpent. Kacha! That destructive divine light contained the invincible power of the god of war. It instantly shattered the swallowing sun boss serpent's scales and broke half of its tail. Roar! Tun Ri boss serpent went berserk. Green divine light spread all over its body, instantly turning into many divine chains of order. They swept through the air and wrapped around the huge true dragon. At the same time, the swallowing sun boss serpent opened its gaping maw and bit down viciously on the dragon. The swallowing sun boss serpent's body seethed with green light as it pulsed with the power of devouring. It was almost as if it wanted to swallow the dragon whole. Rumble. The dragon shone with dazzling light as ancient magical symbols appeared around it. At the same time, a 3-legged, 2-eared cauldron appeared, emanating a terrifying aura that seemed capable of devouring the heavens and devouring the earth. It was the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron. In the face of the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron, the devouring power of the swallowing sun boss serpent was pitifully weak. Rumble. The King Heaven Devourer Cauldron spun, then slammed down onto the swallowing sun boss serpent's head. It was as if an ancient mountain were crushing down onto it. The swallowing sun boss serpent's vision went dark, and it staggered backward as if it were about to fall from the highest heavens. Rumble. The dragon swooped down, its eyes cold as it slashed out with its claws. Dazzling sword light tore through the sky, and the swallowing sun boss serpent's scales exploded. A gaping wound appeared on its abdomen, as if it were about to be ripped open. The swallowing sun boss serpent howled in pain. Its body thrashed violently as it lashed out at the dragon. Whoosh! Chapter 870. Ruiyuumbo. The true dragon's body glowed brightly, as if a resplendent sun had exploded. The true dragon moved like lightning, opening its mouth and biting down on the body of the swallowing sun boss snake. At the same time, its tail lashed out like a bolt of golden lightning, slamming into the 3-legged golden crow and sending him tumbling backward. The 3-legged golden crow's wings shattered, and he floated down onto the sea of reincarnation, a look of terror in his eyes. You're all going to die today. The true dragon's eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent, and its violent roar shook the sky. Rumble. The King Heaven Devourer Cauldron shone with dazzling light, filling the sky with a golden godlight that transformed into a vortex that sucked in the Sun Devourer Basilisk and the 3-legged golden crow. The King Heaven Devourer cauldron was like an ancient mountain, towering up into heaven and earth. Its surface was covered with mysterious, ancient designs that seemed to contain the secrets of heaven and earth. Golden chains of order shot out of the King Heaven Devourer cauldron, wrapping around the Sun Devourer basilisk and the three-legged golden crow, then pulling them toward the cauldron. Ling Xiao, in true dragon form, was using the power of the King Heaven Devourer cauldron to try to suck in the Sun Devourer basilisk and the three-legged golden crow. Ru Yuumbo. The Sun Devourer basilisk and the three-legged golden crow's eyes shone with terror, and they struggled violently. Unfortunately, they couldn't break free from the chains. The aura of the King Heaven Devourer cauldron caused their scalps to tingle with fear, and made them feel like they were in mortal danger. "Let us go, Ling Xiao," King Heaven Devourer basilisk said. "I'll let you go, and we'll forget about all our grudges." The voice of Guardian King Azure Dragon came from the mouth of the sun-devouring Ba Serpent. Although he was pretending to be calm, there was still a trace of fear in his voice. "That's right. Ling Xiao, if you push us too far, we'll just die together. If we self-detonate, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you'll still die," the three-legged golden crow said, trying to put on a brave front. Dharmaraja Azure Dragon and Demon Paragon Great Sun were terrified, and were convinced that if they were devoured by the King Heaven Devourer cauldron, they would perish. They had become titled supreme beings and were only half a step away from becoming immortal and indestructible. How could they be willing to die just like that? Perish together? Do you think you're worthy? You're still so stubborn even in the face of death. Die. Ling Xiao's voice was cold, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Rumble. The King Heaven Devourer cauldron unleashed a terrifying devouring power that caused heaven and earth to tremble as Dharmaraja Azure Dragon and Demon Paragon Grand Sun were sucked into it. "Ling Xiao, if you dare to kill this king, the two heavenly venerables of the War God Temple will not let you off. You will also die a horrible death." Azure Dragon Discipline King was scared out of his wits. His eyes were filled with fear as he roared loudly, threatening Ling Xiao. "Ling Xiao, let me go. I'm willing to submit to you, I'm willing to be your mount. As long as you spare my life, I'll do anything you want me to." The Great Sun Demon Paragon Grand Sun begged for mercy. In the face of death, even titled paragons would throw away their dignity and beg Ling Xiao for mercy. Even if the Great Sun Demon Paragon didn't have many years left to live, he still didn't want to die. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as he ignored Azure Dragon Discipline King and Great Sun Demon Paragon Grand Sunday. Instead, he used the King Heaven Devourer cauldron to suppress them. As for the other paragons, they were already scared out of their wits. Their eyes were filled with terror. Ling Xiao's battle prowess was too terrifying. Azure Dragon Discipline King and Great Sun Demon Paragon Grand Sun were still no match for him in their true forms. Some of them were even thinking of running away. Star Sovereign, the Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain, and Extermination Scribe exchanged glances. Cold killing intent flashed in their eyes as they charged toward Long Han Yen and the others. As far as they were concerned, these dragons were Ling Xiao's weakness. As long as they could capture them, Ling Xiao would definitely hold back. Ling Xiao also noticed the actions of Star Sovereign, the Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain, and Extermination Scribe, and a hint of mockery appeared in his eyes. Get lost. When Ling Xiao kills Azure Dragon Discipline King and Great Sun Demon Paragon Grand Sun, it will be the time of your deaths. Do you really want to die? Everyone from the dragon tribe was shocked. Although the 6 supreme elders had not fully recovered from their injuries, they still stood in front of the crowd and glared coldly at the 3 people in front of them. Old fogies, you're courting death. Killing intent flashed in Star Sovereign's eyes as he slapped his palm across the sky. The starlight in the sky was dazzling and contained unparalleled divine power. Long Han Yen, Long Patian, and the rest looked a little nervous. The 3 people in front of them were all 9th-level Venerable Realm experts. The 6 supreme elders of the dragon tribe were no match for them even when they were not seriously injured. How could they stop them at this moment? Buzz! At this moment, a bright light shone down from the void and enveloped everyone from the dragon tribe. A white-robed man wrapped in divine light appeared in front of Star Emperor and spat out a word, scram. Rumble. It was as if the sky was filled with thunderbolts as the void shook. Star Sovereign's palm print was shattered and he was swept away by an unparalleled force and flew back. What? Star Emperor, Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, and Extermination Scholar were all shocked as they looked at the white-robed man in front of them. The white-robed man looked ethereal and mysterious. His body was shrouded in light and his figure couldn't be seen clearly. However, his eyes were extremely bright and resplendent, containing the power to see through people's hearts. The white-robed man was naturally the Time General. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that the white-robed man could force Star Sovereign to retreat with just a word. Who are you? Star Sovereign suppressed the anger in his heart and asked coldly. Not only the three Supreme Elders, but even the people from the Dragon Tribe were surprised. They didn't know why the mysterious white-robed man would help them. Could he be a helper that Ling Xiao had found? When Long Hanyan saw the white-robed man, her eyes moved slightly as she felt a familiar aura. She stared at the white-robed man as if she wanted to see something from him. You don't deserve to know my name. If you know what's good for you, get lost and wait for Ling Xiao to deal with you. Otherwise, I don't mind sending you to your deaths now. The white-robed man said indifferently. How arrogant. You're just a 9th-level Supreme Realm expert. Do you really think you're invincible? Brothers, I'll stop him. You go and capture the people from the Dragon Tribe. Star Sovereign's face instantly darkened as killing intent flashed in his eyes. He could see that the white-robed man before him was only a 9th-level Supreme Realm expert. Therefore, he wasn't afraid at all. Chapter 871. Rumble. Star Emperor's body shone brightly as if a galaxy had exploded. His finger was like a sword as sword chi swept across the universe and shot towards the white-robed man's forehead. The Emperor Tomb Mountain Master and Scholar Extermination went around the white-robed man and charged towards the Dragon Tribe. You're courting death. The white-robed man said indifferently and moved instantly. Rumble. He sent out a palm strike. His fingers were slender and translucent, and his palm print was ethereal. It didn't seem like a palm technique from the mortal world. It instantly enveloped the Star Monarch, the Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord, and the Scholar Extermination. The palm was extremely fast as if it had traveled through time and space. It contained the essence of the passage of time and imprinted itself on the chests of Star Emperor and the other two. Crack. There was a crisp sound as Star Emperor and the other two's eyes were filled with terror. They spat out a mouthful of blood as their chests caved in. They were severely injured in an instant. Star Emperor, the Emperor Tomb Mountain Master and Scholar Extermination didn't expect the white-robed man's palm. They could see it but they couldn't block it at all. It contained an unfathomable power that imprinted itself on their bodies almost instantly. Oh no, this man is too strong. Run! Star Emperor's face changed drastically. He no longer had any fighting spirit. He exchanged glances with the Emperor Tomb Mountain Master and Scholar Extermination before turning around to escape. Ling Xiao was so overpowered and the white-robed man's strength was so terrifying. If they continued to stay, they would definitely die. Did I say you could leave? Come back. The white-robed man said faintly with a sharp glint in his eyes. Rumble. He reached out his hand and grabbed at the air. A mysterious light flickered and mysterious lines appeared from his palm. They instantly pierced through the void and bound Star Emperor, the master of Emperor Tomb Mountain, and Mia Xing scribe like little lambs. He directly pulled them back. Rumble. The three of them fell heavily to the ground and their cultivation bases were sealed by the white-robed man. What are you doing? Star Emperor and the other two's eyes were filled with terror as their faces turned pale. Their hearts were filled with sorrow. The white-clothed man in front of them was too strong. In the hands of the white-clothed man, they did not have the slightest ability to resist. If you don't want to die now, then shut up. The man in white said indifferently. His eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Star Sovereign and the other two turned pale and shut their mouths instantly. Their cultivations have been sealed by me. Keep an eye on them. The man in white looked at Long Patian and threw the three people in front of him like they were chickens. Thank you for saving me, Senior. May I know Senior's name? Long Patian felt flattered. He quickly looked at Star Sovereign and the other two and asked cautiously. You'll know in the future. The Divine General of Time said faintly as he swept his gaze over the crowd. When he looked at Long Han Yen, he paused for a moment before quickly looking away. Whoosh! 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 When the remaining paragons saw Star Sovereign and the other two captured, they knew the situation was bad. They wanted to flee, but in the end, the Divine General of Time captured them and sealed their cultivations. Star Sovereign and the others' eyes were filled with despair. Were they really going to die here? Rumble. The Heaven Devourer cauldron shone dazzlingly in the air. A golden vortex of divine light swallowed up the sun-devouring boss serpent and the three-legged golden crow. It didn't matter if Dharmaraja Azure Dragon and the Great Sun Demon Sovereign threatened or tempted them, Ling Xiao ignored them and focused on refining them. Ling Xiao, you'll die a horrible death. Ling Xiao, even if I become a ghost, I won't let you go. Ling Xiao, I beg you, let me go. I'll recognize you as my master. The voices of Dharmaraja Azure Dragon and the Great Sun Demon Sovereign rang out from the Heaven Devourer cauldron, but Ling Xiao ignored them. Rumble. The Heaven Devourer cauldron shone with dazzling light, emanating an ancient aura. Mysterious, ancient god symbols filled the cauldron as it devoured the power of Dharmaraja Azure Dragon and the Great Sun Demon Sovereign. As of this moment, it was impossible for them to self-detonate even if they wanted to. Heaven and earth trembled, and the Heaven Devourer cauldron thrummed as streams of quintessence power were absorbed into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao cultivated the War God incantation, and had the power of the War God within him. If he wanted to achieve breakthroughs, he would need a huge amount of resources. But the Sun Devourer Boss Serpent and the three-legged Golden Crow were godlings from the distant past, and contained boundless blood energy quintessence and nascent divinity power. As Ling Xiao absorbed them, his cultivation base began to advance by leaps and bounds. Rumble. More and more streams of the power of the War God began to form. 1,000 streams. 2,000. 3,000. In the end, Ling Xiao completely absorbed the power of the Sun Devourer Boss Serpent and the three-legged Golden Crow. At the same time, terrifying rumbling sounds could be heard from within Ling Xiao. 10,000 streams of the power of the War God. Second level of the Supreme Being Realm. After devouring and absorbing the power of two titled paragons, Ling Xiao's cultivation base had finally reached the second level of the Supreme Being Realm. At the same time, the Dragon Tribe, Star Sovereign, and the others were all shocked. Not only did Ling Xiao kill the Azure Dragon Dharmaraja and the Great Sun Demon Reverend, but after devouring them, his cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds. I only managed to raise my cultivation by one level after devouring two titled Supreme Martial Artists. Ling Xiao chuckled bitterly, clearly dissatisfied. He had accumulated far too much power, and the amount of resources required to advance by one level in the Supreme Being Realm was equivalent to what others would need to advance from the Meridian Opening Realm to the titled Paragons. Especially the power of the War God, which consumed far too much energy. However, the power of the War God was invincible, and his fighting prowess was terrifying. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body flashed with light, and he reverted to his human form. His robes were whiter than snow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His body radiated a terrifying power that caused the sky to tremble. Star Sovereign and the others looked on in despair. However, Ling Xiao didn't look at them. His gaze was fixed on the distant sky. Crack! The sky instantly shattered, and a group of figures with terrifying auras descended. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Just by sensing their auras, Ling Xiao knew that they were from the War God Temple. They had arrived. Taoist Wuliang, the old goat, Yu Chongshan, Maha, Long Lai, and Fire Phoenix supremacy were at the forefront. At the moment, they looked extremely battered. Their bodies were stained with blood, and their auras were chaotic. It was obvious that they had suffered heavy injuries. Behind them was a group of figures with terrifying auras. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. He could sense that there were dozens of Supreme Being experts. Ling Xiao, I'm sorry. We've tried our best, but the two old bastards in black and white robes were too strong. They had refined the divinity and stepped into the half-step divine realm. We were no match for them, and we suffered heavy casualties. Chapter 872. The three demon supremacies of the demon tribe, the pavilion master of the sword god's pavilion, and the grand moon supremacy have all died in battle. Ling Xiao, they are here for you. Taoist Wuliang let out a bitter laugh as well, his eyes revealing a trace of sadness. Ling Xiao was shocked. He had not expected the casualties to be so severe. How long had it been and 5 supremacies had already been killed? In the end, only the 6 of them had managed to escape. Ling Xiao's gaze landed on the group of people behind the old goat and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Don't worry, I am here. Ling Xiao said slowly as his body exuded a domineering aura and majesty. 2 elders led the war god hall. One of them was dressed in a black robe while the other was dressed in a white robe. They stood in the air and exuded a terrifying aura that caused the surrounding space to tremble violently. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could sense a powerful divine path energy and threat from the 2 elders. These 2 must be the left and right holy masters of the war god hall. He had not expected the left and right holy masters to be half-step divine spirits who had refined divine sparks. Behind the left and right holy masters were the 3 titled supremacies, the white tiger guardian king, the black tortoise guardian king, and the vermilion bird guardian king, as well as dozens of supremacies with terrifying auras. Apart from that, there was also the successor of the war god hall. He was dressed in golden armor and had an extraordinary figure. He exuded an extremely powerful aura and was actually a level 3 supremacy. Apart from the people of the war god hall, there were also Buddhist disciple Kasayapa, Emperor Qing, Duan Wuji, Morong Xiantian, Zhu Biao, Qing Yun, Zhao Ritian, and the others. However, they were obviously here to watch the battle. Ling Xiao, where is my brother, the green dragon guardian king? The white tiger guardian king looked extremely burly and was dressed in a black robe. He stared coldly at Ling Xiao and asked. The green dragon guardian king. He has already gone to hell with the great sun demon supremacy. Don't worry, you will accompany him very soon. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly as he spoke slowly. What? Ling Xiao's words were like a sudden clap of thunder. Instantly, everyone was shocked and their eyes were filled with disbelief. The Green Dragon Guardian King and the Great Sun Demon Supremacy died at Ling Xiao's hands? How is that possible? That's right. I think Ling Xiao is just spouting nonsense. The Azure Dragon Discipline King and the Great Sun Demon Reverend are both titled Supremes. Although Ling Xiao is demon-like, his cultivation level is only at the 2nd level of the Supreme Being realm. How can he be a match for the 2 of them? Everyone was discussing among themselves, but their eyes were filled with doubt. They did not believe that Ling Xiao had the ability to kill 2 titled supreme martial artists. You want to kill my big brother? Arrogant and conceited brat, you're about to die and you still won't speak honestly. The white tiger Shakyamuni sneered. Discipline King Black Tortoise and Discipline King Vermilion Bird sneered at the same time. Clearly, they did not believe that Ling Xiao could kill Discipline King Azure Dragon. Lord Sky Sovereign, Lord Dharmaraja, save me. The Azure Dragon Discipline King and the Great Sun Demon Venerable have already been killed by Ling Xiao. You must avenge them. When Star Emperor and the others saw the people from the War God Temple appear, their eyes were filled with excitement as they shouted loudly. However, their shouts confirmed the fact that Ling Xiao had killed 2 titled supreme martial artists. Ling Xiao, he really has the combat strength to kill 2 titled supreme martial artists. How is this possible? Everyone was in an uproar as their eyes were filled with disbelief. Even the successor of the war god Hall had a shocked expression on his face. He thought that with his current cultivation of level 3 supreme martial artist, he would at most be able to come to a draw with disciplined King Azure Dragon. After all, even a 9 extremities genius was not invincible. His combat strength could not be that strong. Ling Xiao is. He's a 10 extremities genius. The master of Emperor Tomb Mountain shouted. Everyone was stunned. 10 extremities genius. Did I hear it wrongly? He broke the taboo and became a legend. An unprecedented 10 extremities genius. How is this possible? Someone trembled as his eyes were filled with disbelief. 10 extremities genius. The 4 words seemed to have some kind of magical power that caused the successor of the war god temple, Buddha Kasyapa, Emperor Qing, Xiao Ritian, and the others' faces to change. A 9 extremities genius and a 10 extremities genius were not on the same level. Their combat strength could not be compared. It was a huge gap. The combat strength of a 9 extremities genius could still be measured. However, a 10 extremities genius was a legend and a miracle. No matter how terrifying their combat strength was, it was understandable. This was because a 10 extremities genius represented invincibility. They represented the power of the taboo. 10 extremities genius. Ling Xiao, no wonder you could kill disciplined King Azure Dragon and the Great Sun Demon Honorable. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Taoist Wu Yang and the old goat were also shocked. Previously, they were still immersed in the news of Ling Xiao killing 2 titled supreme martial artists and were extremely shocked. However, when they heard the words 10 extremities genius, they were instantly relieved. If he was a real 10 extremities genius, not to mention killing a titled supreme martial artist, he could even fight with a deity. Ha ha ha. Good, very good. Ling Xiao, you've really surprised me. Long Lai also laughed heartily. His eyes were filled with an incomparably excited expression. Swoosh! Long Outyan came out of Long Lai's pocket dimension. When he heard the news, he was extremely emotional. He looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of admiration. Cousin, you're too powerful. You killed these bastards from the War God Hall. The Crystal Palace suffered heavy casualties because of these bastards. Long Outyan said excitedly. He then turned around and looked at the people from the War God Hall with hatred in his eyes. Don't worry, they'll all die. Ling Xiao said coldly as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Humph, 10 extremities genius. Ling Xiao is not worthy. A 10 extremities genius is only a legend. What does Ling Xiao do? I think he must have used despicable means to kill disciplined King Azure Dragon and the Great Sun Demon Honorable. Duan Wuji's piercing voice sounded as his eyes were filled with jealousy. That's right. Everyone, don't be fooled by him. Ling Xiao has the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God. Once we kill Ling Xiao, the inheritance will be ours. Murong Xiantian said with a cold smile. The inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God? Everyone's body trembled, and their eyes revealed a trace of incomparable greed. The Scarlet Dragon War God was a peerless war god from 1,000,000 years ago. If they could obtain his inheritance, they might be able to find the path to becoming a god. To everyone, this was an irresistible temptation. Rumble. The successor of the war god Hall stepped forward and looked at Ling Xiao coldly. He said, Ling Xiao, hand over the Demon Saint's tablet and the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God and we might spare your life. Otherwise, you will die today. Rumble. Everyone from the War God Hall exuded an extremely cold aura. Their eyes were cold and filled with killing intent as they locked onto Ling Xiao. Everyone's expression turned cold as fear appeared in their hearts. No matter how good the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God was, it could not be obtained without his life. Everyone knew how terrifying the War God Hall was. Naturally, They did not dare to snatch it from the hands of the war god Hall. They retreated as if it was none of their business and watched the battle between Ling Xiao and the war god Hall coldly. This battle was unavoidable. However, everyone thought that Ling Xiao would definitely die. This was because the left and right holy masters of the war god Hall were two deities. No matter how strong a human was, how could it compare to a deity? Chapter 873. Demon Overlord's Stone Tablet. Are you sure you're not talking about the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet? Also, the Scarlet Dragon War God's Inheritance. The Heavenly Chosen Convention was originally hosted by your War God Temple, yet you've come to me for the Scarlet Dragon War God's Inheritance? Ling Xiao indifferently glanced at the descendant of the War God Temple, his eyes revealing a trace of ridicule. Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet. What's that? Everyone's hearts skipped a beat as they were confused. The War God Shrine's successor's face changed as he stared at Ling Xiao. How do you know about the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet? Not only do I know about the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet, I also know that 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets can open the door to the God world. And your War God Shrine already has 5 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets. Ling Xiao laughed coldly as he stared at the War God Shrine's people. What? 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets can open the door to the God world? Is this for real? Everyone was instantly shaken. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Many of the martial Holy Lands knew that no one had become a god in a million years. Some guessed that it was because the Heaven Dao laws were flawed, and some guessed that something happened in the God world, causing the door to close. Countless people wanted to find the secret to becoming a god, but to no avail. Now that they heard Ling Xiao say that 9 Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablets could open the door to the God world, many people became excited. Legend has it that a million years ago, as long as one reached the 9th level of the Supreme Realm, one could ascend to the God world. But after a million years, the Heaven Dao was flawed and the God world was closed. No one could become a god. If the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet really has such heaven-defying power, it's no wonder the War God Shrine values it so much. An extremely old Supreme Being said with a hint of excitement in his eyes. Becoming a god was the ultimate goal for everyone because being a god represented immortality and endless lifespan. Especially for a Supreme, it was extremely tempting. Ling Xiao, the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos Tablet is my War God Shrine's treasure. It's not something that can open the door to the God world. Don't try to confuse us. Also, the Scarlet Dragon Battle God's inheritance was stolen from the Flowing Time Shrine. I advise you not to refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Hand it over. The War God Shrine's successor stared coldly at Ling Xiao. He naturally wouldn't admit that the Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablet could open the door to God world. Otherwise, the entire War God Great World would be in an uproar. No matter how strong the War God Temple was, if the entire War God Great World turned against the War God Temple, the War God Temple would not be able to withstand it. Ha ha ha. The treasure of your War God Temple. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen people as shameless as you. Let's not talk about the fact that I don't have the Heavenly Dao Primal Chaos Tablet or the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance. Even if I did, who do you think you are? Are you even qualified to order me around? Ling Xiao laughed out loud. His gaze was extremely sharp, and his voice was deep. He exuded a domineering aura. Ling Xiao, don't think that you have the right to be arrogant in front of the War God Temple just because you used despicable means to kill Guardian King Azure Dragon and the Great Sun Demon Supremacy. The two Lord Empyreans are both deity realm powerhouses. Killing you is as simple as crushing an ant. The eyes of the successor of the War God Hall instantly darkened, revealing a cold killing intent. Kill me? Ha ha ha, come at me if you have the ability. What do I, Ling Xiao, fear? Magnificent sect, you don't have to use the tiger's skin as a flag. If you have the ability, come up and fight me. Do you believe that I can kill you like killing a dog? Ling Xiao snickered coldly. He stood in the air like a peerless sword standing under the heavens, radiating a dazzling light. Magnificent Sect was the original name of the successor of the War God Temple. After Ling Xiao devoured and refined Guardian King Azure Dragon, he also knew some secrets of the War God Temple. That's right. Magnificent Sect, come up and fight my cousin if you have the ability. What kind of man are you to be so wishy-washy? If you want the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet and the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance, then let's see if you have the qualifications. Long Outyin chuckled coldly. Ling Xiao looked down on the War God Temple with an extraordinary aura. His heroic spirit soared to the sky, and many people felt a sense of admiration in their hearts. The Moon Goddess and Phoenix Lady were also in the crowd. They looked at Ling Xiao with sparkling eyes. This was the Ling Xiao who looked down on everything, the invincible Ling Xiao who suppressed the ancient times. Ling Xiao, do you think I'm afraid of you? Very well. Let's see what qualifications you have to say such arrogant words. The successor of the War God Temple, Magnificent Sect, walked towards Ling Xiao with a murderous look in his eyes. Rumble. Every step he took was like the beating of a heavenly drum, causing the void to rumble. Strands of chaotic mist suffused the air. The golden armor around his body was dazzling, and his dazzling hair fluttered in the wind. His face was like jade, and his body glowed. He was extraordinarily heroic, and he emitted a mysterious and powerful aura. Legend had it that Magnificent Sect had the chaotic sacred body, and he could control all the energy of heaven and earth. He was also a legendary Nine-Ju realm genius, and his strength was terrifying to the extreme. Now that he stood out, his aura made many Supreme Being experts tremble. In comparison, Ling Xiao on the other side seemed very ordinary. The eyes of the left and right holy masters, as well as the people of the War God Temple, flashed, but they did not stop him. Magnificent Sect's strength was extraordinary, and he could even fight against a titled Supreme Being. It was a good opportunity for him to test Ling Xiao's true strength. Anyway, with the two holy masters, Magnificent Sect would not be in any danger. On the other hand, Ling Xiao, the legendary Ten-Ju realm genius, was unfathomable. Ling Xiao, if you want to fight, then let's fight. Hua Tianzong said coldly. His voice shook the heavens, causing the surrounding space to tremble at the same time. Rumble. He was surrounded by divine light, and the chaotic aura rose. He was like a peerless war god, and no one dared to look at him directly. In Magnificent Sect's opinion, he was at the third-level Supreme Being realm, which was one level higher than Ling Xiao. With his various means, even if he could not kill Ling Xiao, he could still fight him. As the number one on the Azure Sky ranking, the successor of the War God Temple, and the number one genius of the War God continent, Magnificent Sect had his own pride. This successor of the Battle God Hall is indeed extremely powerful. If Ling Xiao really used other means to kill the Azure Dragon Discipline King and the Great Sun Demon Sovereign, I'm afraid his true strength is not as good as the successor of the War God Temple. That's right. How can there be so many Ten-Ju realm geniuses? The successor of the War God Temple is only a Nine-Ju realm genius. What qualifications does Ling Xiao have? I think those people are just flattering him. I think Ling Xiao can last 100 moves against the successor of the War God Temple. 100 moves. You think too highly of him. I think he can last 10 moves at most. Chapter 874. Hua Tianzong, if you can take 3 of my moves, I'll spare your life. Ling Xiao glanced at Hua Tianzong and said. 3 moves. Ha ha ha. Good. Very good. I'd like to see what makes you so arrogant. Hua Tianzong was so angry that he laughed. His eyes were filled with coldness. Hua Tianzong didn't expect Ling Xiao to look down on him. Did he think Ling Xiao could defeat him in 3 moves? Did Ling Xiao think he was a god? Defeat Hua Tianzong in 3 moves. Ling Xiao is too careless. Someone sighed and shook his head. That's right. I thought Ling Xiao was no weaker than Hua Tianzong. I didn't expect him to be so arrogant. With Hua Tianzong's current strength, he can fight a titled battle pet warrior. I'm afraid Ling Xiao can only tie with him. Ling Xiao is too arrogant. Even if he's a genius with 10 ultimates, he can't defeat Hua Tianzong in 3 moves. Everyone was talking about it. Apparently, they all thought Ling Xiao was too arrogant. Rumble. Hua Tianzong's body was surrounded by dazzling light. Streaks of chaotic lightning spread out. The surrounding space was shattered and turbulence raged. It was as if a new world had appeared in front of everyone. Hua Tianzong's eyes shone brightly. In an instant, he threw a palm toward Ling Xiao. Boom! The palm print was ancient and mysterious. It was flowing with chaotic runes. It was like the hand of an ancient demon. It was vast and boundless. It covered the sky as if it was going to break the chaos and create a new world. Ling Xiao, have a taste of my chaotic heaven opening palm. The first move, chaotic heaven opening. Hua Tianzong roared, and his palm instantly pressed down towards Yiqingyu. It's the chaotic heaven opening palm. Legend has it that this is a peerless skill of the war god shrine. It contains terrifying power. It was created by a divine king with the chaotic sacred body. I didn't expect Hua Tianzong to have mastered it. Ling Xiao is in danger. This palm print has the power to injure or even kill a titled battle pet warrior. Someone exclaimed. Apparently, he recognized the origin of the chaotic heaven opening palm. Ling Xiao's eyes were still calm. Seeing the palm pressing down on Ling Xiao said indifferently, too weak. Roar. A terrifying dragon roar exploded between heaven and earth. Ling Xiao also sent a palm flying through the air. His entire body was filled with blood qi. The huge palm was like an immemorial divine mountain, spewing out countless resplendent runes. Tens of thousands of true dragons swept across the sky and instantly fused together, turning into a 7-colored divine dragon that emitted a ferocious aura. 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. Myriad Tao true dragon. I didn't expect Cousin's 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique to be cultivated to such a level. Long Outyen exclaimed in shock. Long Outyen had also cultivated the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique, so he naturally knew how terrifying it was. Even Long Outyen had only condensed 81 true dragons. 10,000 dragons could really kill titled battle pet warriors. Rumble. The two palms met and instantly collided in the sky. The void shattered like a mirror, and the void turbulence filled the air. The divine rainbow dragon actually shattered Hua Tianzong's palm in an instant, swept away the endless primal chaos fog, and then suddenly slammed into Hua Tianzong's chest. Crack, crack. On Hua Tianzong's body, the golden armor on his body shone brightly as countless runes exploded. This was a powerful defensive armor. Although it blocked most of the impact, Hua Tianzong was still blown away by Ling Xiao's palm. His blood was in turmoil. How is this possible? Hua Tianzong's eyes were filled with disbelief. His primal chaos heaven-splitting palm was shattered by Ling Xiao as if it was a piece of rotten wood. Hua Tianzong, take this. Judgment. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as he threw a punch toward Hua Tianzong. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by a dazzling golden glow. He was like an invincible god. His fist was unparalleled, containing the power to pierce through everything. It was as if the God of heaven was judging all living beings and purifying the world with his supreme divine power. Judgment Fist. This was the supreme fist skill of the Ares art. Ling Xiao used the Ares art's power to activate it, and it had the power to destroy everything. Die. Feeling the terrifying threat, Hua Tianzong went completely crazy. His body was surrounded by a chaotic aura, and a huge black axe appeared in his hand. It contained an ancient and vast power, and he swung it toward Ling Xiao. It was a divine weapon, the sky-splitting axe. Facing the threat of Ling Xiao's fist, Hua Tianzong was forced to use his sky-splitting axe in the second move. He knew that if he didn't use his sky-splitting axe, he would be completely obliterated by Ling Xiao's fist. It was as if the primordial fiend god was splitting heaven and earth, and as if the peerless god of war was splitting the galaxy. As the sky-splitting axe swung through the air, the void was shattered. A black torrent rushed toward Ling Xiao's judgment fist. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled. Ling Xiao faced the sky-splitting axe, and he did not dodge at all. Instead, he threw a punch at the sky-splitting axe. That unparalleled divine power exploded. The judgment fist was activated by the Ares art's power, and it instantly pierced through the power of the sky-splitting axe. Boom! Hua Tianzong's expression changed. He felt as if he had been hit by an ancient divine mountain. The earth-shattering power instantly shattered his arms, and the sky-splitting axe flew out of his hands. The third move, Heavenly Punishment. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with killing intent. He pointed his finger at Hua Tianzong. Like a black lightning bolt, it instantly pierced through the void and headed toward Hua Tianzong's forehead. Ling Xiao wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Magnificent Zong once and for all. No! Hua Tianzong roared. He felt a fatal threat from Ling Xiao's finger. It made his primordial spirit tremble, as if he would be killed in the next moment. Boom! Hua Tianzong crazily activated all the divine power in his body and poured it into the golden armor on his body. It was a damaged supreme divine weapon, but it contained a strong defensive power. In an instant, a golden light shield rose and covered Hua Tianzong. How dare you! A cold voice sounded in the void. The black-robed left reverend's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao. Even the people of the Ares temple did not expect Ling Xiao's attack to be so terrifying and ruthless. In just 3 moves, he had already forced Hua Tianzong into a desperate situation. Ling Xiao, if you dare to touch a single hair of Hua Tianzong, you will die without a burial place. The white tiger Shakyamuni, the vermilion bird Shakyamuni, and the black tortoise Shakyamuni also leaped into the sky in an instant. Their speed was extremely fast, and they displayed an incomparably powerful strength as they charged towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold, as if he did not care about the threat of the Ares temple at all. His finger was dazzling, as if it was the judgment of the gods, eternal to the extreme. Bang! The light shield that Hua Tianzong was trying his best to activate was like a bubble, instantly bursting apart. Ling Xiao's finger instantly pierced through Hua Tianzong's forehead. Puff! Chapter 875. Hua Tianzong's forehead was pierced by Ling Xiao's finger. Blood flowed out and he looked extremely miserable. Ling Xiao's finger contained the indestructible force of the divine god of battle. As it was about to penetrate Hua Tianzong's divine sense and destroy his primordial spirit, a mysterious chime could be heard. Clang! The bell was ancient and mysterious. In Hua Tianzong's mind, there was an ancient and mysterious bell. It flowed with chaotic colors and countless runes. It instantly blocked Ling Xiao's finger. Puff! Hua Tianzong suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was sent flying several hundred feet away. He fell into the crowd of the war god shrine, and his eyes were filled with incomparable fear. Although he was instantly seriously injured, he still managed to keep his life. What a pity! Ling Xiao felt that it was a pity. He could feel that the chaotic bell between Hua Tianzong's eyebrows should be a powerful treasure. It could withstand Ling Xiao's finger without being damaged. It must be a supreme artifact. Hua Tianzong was indeed the successor of the god of war shrine. He had countless treasures on him. Rumble. At this moment, the left reverend's palm and the 3 guardian kings arrived. Ling Xiao's body flashed. It was as if he had pierced through the void and teleported away. Crack! The void shattered and chaotic currents surged. A terrifying aura spread out, emitting a power that made everyone tremble in fear. In the void, the left reverend in a black robe was surprised. Although he had only casually thrown out a palm, even a titled supreme being would not be able to dodge it. He did not expect Ling Xiao to dodge it so easily. Master's uncle Zhua, please kill Ling Xiao. Hua Tianzong's face was pale and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. To him, this was simply a great humiliation. Hua Tianzong originally thought that even if Ling Xiao's combat strength was extraordinary, he could at least fight to a draw with Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao only used one palm, one fist, and one finger to injure him and almost kill him. Only Ling Xiao's blood could wash away this humiliation. Tianzong, don't be discouraged. Your chaotic sacred body has not fully awakened. Once it is fully awakened, you will not lose to him. Moreover, Ling Xiao has obtained the God of War art and cultivated the God of War force. It is understandable that you are not his match. The left reverend said slowly with a sharp glint in his eyes. What? God of War art? Hua Tianzong's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and a trace of deep jealousy appeared in his eyes. The Ares secret art was the Scarlet Dragon War God's most powerful secret art. It contained an incomparably terrifying power. In the current War God Temple, only the master of the magnificent sect, the War God, was qualified to cultivate the Ares secret art. He Tianzong had God of War God art. But he did not expect Ling Xiao had obtained the God of War. Ling Xiao, you're only at the second rank of the Supreme Realm, but you already have the battle prowess to kill a titled Supreme. You're indeed a monster. Even if you're not one of the legendary 10 Ultimates geniuses, you're not far from it. I will give you a chance. As long as you hand over the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet and the God of War inheritance and join the War Shrine, I will spare your life. You will be the successor of the War Shrine and be on par with Hua Tianzong. How about it? The left reverend looked at Ling Xiao and said. The successor of the War Shrine. Everyone gasped when they heard the left reverend's words. Their eyes were filled with jealousy. The War God Temple could be said to be the most powerful force in the War God continent. They had more than one divinity realm expert. If Ling Xiao were to join the War God Temple, he would reach the heavens in a single step. His status would be even higher than the sect masters of the martial Holy Lands. But would Ling Xiao agree? Ling Xiao looked at the left reverend and said with a smile, Thank you, Reverend. First, it doesn't matter if I have the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet and the God of War inheritance. How I deal with them is my own business. Second, I'm used to being free. I don't want to join the War Shrine. So, I can only disappoint you. Third, I'm a simple person. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I'll pay them back 100 times. If the War Shrine is determined to deal with me, I swear that I'll destroy the War Shrine in my life. Not even a chicken or a dog will be left. Although Ling Xiao was smiling, his voice was resolute. In particular, his last sentence was filled with a monstrous baleful aura, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. Ling Xiao actually rejected it. Everyone was stunned. Could it be that Ling Xiao really believed that he could contend against the entire War God Temple by himself? One had to know that the two reverends were both godly spirit realm experts. Their strength was monstrous and could kill everything. They were unrivaled. Zhao Ritian also looked at Ling Xiao in surprise. His gaze was complicated. Second Master, do you think we should save Ling Xiao? The people of the War Shrine are too shameless. I can't stand it anymore. Zhao Ritian said in his heart. Ritian, are you out of your mind? Have you forgotten what we said? As long as Ling Xiao dies, I'll use a secret technique to help you obtain the textless heavenly book and the legacy of the Scarlet Dragon of War. You want to save him? What are you thinking? The second master was speechless. I just feel that it's too easy for Ling Xiao to die just like that. Even if he dies, he should die in my hands. Zhao Ritian said stubbornly. My little ancestor, don't give me any trouble. Not to mention that we're enemies with Ling Xiao and we shouldn't save him. Even if we really want to save him, we don't have the ability to do so. Those two old fogies in black and white are both half-step to godly spirits who have refined the divinity. Even if there were 100 of you, you wouldn't be their match. The second master said helplessly. Then. All right. Zhao Ritian let out a bitter laugh and shook his head. In the sky, the left reverend looked at Ling Xiao and said, that's a pity. However, the Heavenly Path Chaotic Tablet and the legacy of the Scarlet Dragon of War are the treasures of the War Shrine. They can't fall into the hands of outsiders. Since that's the case, I'll have to kill you personally. The left reverend's words were casual, but everyone could hear the burning killing intent in them. They couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. The War Shrine was never the legacy of the Scarlet Dragon of War. You're just a bunch of thieves who stole part of the legacy of the Scarlet Dragon of War. If you want to kill me, just do it. Why do you have to be so hypocritical? I'd like to see how strong the two reverends of the War Shrine are. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight as he said slowly. Wang. Ling Xiao walked to the old goat's side and the heavenly god stone turned into a speck of dust and landed on the old goat's body. At the same time, Ling Xiao's voice entered the old goat's mind. Old goat, I'll leave the heavenly god stone in your care for now. If anything happens to me in this battle, I'll have to trouble you to take care of the Changsun sect and the dragon tribe. Chapter 876. What? The old goat immediately became agitated. He hurriedly transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. These two old farts are half-step gods who have refined godhoods. They are extremely powerful. Even if you aren't their match now, you'll be able to kill them in a few more years. It'll be as easy as killing dogs for you. We can just run away. Ling Xiao replied telepathically, there are two half-step deities here. Do you think we can escape? Don't worry, I am confident that I can fight them even if they are demigods. I am only giving you the divine stone as a precaution. Don't worry. Ling Xiao, let's fight it out with them. I will detonate the Devil Saint's scepter. At most, we will fight to the death. The old goat said anxiously with cold killing intent in his eyes. Don't let your emotions get the better of you. Don't worry, I won't die before I find Jin Se. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He glanced at the old goat, then turned and walked into the void. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. Ling Xiao exuded a vast and mysterious dragon aura. His eyes were sharp as he stared at the left sovereign. He was extremely calm and a strong battle intent was brewing in him. Ling Xiao already had the combat strength to kill titled supremes. However, he wanted to see how strong he was when facing a demigod. A real demigod had to have both his physical body and primordial spirit become a demigod and merge with the divine energy in his body to form a godhood. If a supremes refined the godhood left behind by a demigod, their primordial spirit would be immortal and they would become a demigod. However, their physical body would remain mortal and would not be tempered by the laws of the divinity. Therefore, they could only be considered demigods. The left and right sovereign were demigods who had merged their primordial spirits with godhoods. However, their physical bodies were still mortal. Although they were only demigods, they were much stronger than titled supremes. Ling Xiao, you may have extraordinary combat strength and can kill titled supremes. However, you will never know how strong a demigod is. In my eyes, even titled supremes can be killed easily. Therefore, you stand no chance. As long as you agree to my conditions, my words will still stand. The left reverend glanced at Ling Xiao and sighed. Who said that the human Tao cannot defeat the divine Tao? It said that Senior Duguqiubai once killed a half-god when he was at utmost exalted realm. I'd like to give it a try too. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The desire to battle in his eyes was at its peak. Duguqiubai. When Duguqiubai killed the demigod, he was already a titled supreme. Besides, do you really think you can compare to Duguqiubai? Since you're so reckless, it seems like I have no choice but to kill a genius with my own hands today. The left reverend smiled faintly as a cold glint appeared in his eyes. No need to say more. Let's fight. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he charged towards the left reverend. Rumble. The sky trembled as Ling Xiao exuded a powerful dragon's might. He directly activated his true dragon body and used the 10,000 dragons godslaying technique. He slammed his palm across the sky and immediately, 7 colored divine dragons gathered. They were dazzling as they coiled around Ling Xiao's palm and pressed down on the left reverend. 10,000 dragons godslaying technique? It's a pity that you haven't mastered it yet. The left reverend smiled faintly as he threw out a simple punch. Crack. Space rumbled explosively while the heavens and the earth trembled. Strands of divine Tao laws converged together, and they contained an aura capable of shattering everything. That fist moved unparalleled, and it emanated an extremely oppressive aura that caused everyone to feel slightly suffocated. Boom! The world shook violently. The 7-colored dragon was ferocious. The huge palm collided with the left reverend's fist. Immediately, a blazing storm of divine light swept out like a level 12 hurricane, blotting out the sky and covering the sun. Ling Xiao's body trembled as he instantly retreated. The left reverend's arm also trembled as he took a few steps back. Is this the power of a demigod? It's indeed powerful. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Although it seemed like he was on par with the left reverend, Ling Xiao knew that he was still at a disadvantage. The left reverend's punch was a shocking punch that used the power of the primordial spirit to mobilize the power of the laws of heaven and earth and gather it on the fist print. Even if it was just a casual blow, it had the power to severely injure a titled supreme. Your physical strength is so terrifying. It seems like it's not weaker than the legendary divine beast's body. However, with this strength, you have no chance. The left reverend was slightly surprised as he did not expect Ling Xiao to be able to force him back with a single punch. Take this, chaos sky splitting. The left reverend said indifferently as he threw out a palm strike toward Ling Xiao. Rumble. As if heaven and earth had been turned upside down, the palm print traversed the void and was surrounded by endless chaotic mist. It was eternally dazzling and radiant, giving people an unstoppable feeling. It was also the first move of the chaos sky-splitting palm, but in the hands of the left reverend, it had a magical power that was far superior to magnificent sects. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with a monstrous battle intent. The more he felt threatened by the left reverend, the stronger his battle intent became. The blood in his body seemed to be boiling. The wisps of war god's power flowed through his body, causing him to emit an incomparably terrifying aura. Adjudication. Ling Xiao shouted coldly as he threw out a punch toward the left reverend. The adjudication divine fist of the Ares art contained the mysterious power of adjudication. Only the Ares art could activate it. The fist mark appeared in the sky, intertwining with Tao and truth, containing a majestic righteous energy. Boom! The heaven and earth shook as the fist and palm collided. Instantly, the void shattered as boundless divine light swept out in all directions. Ling Xiao's adjudication divine fist was shattered by the left reverend's palm. The huge palm print traversed the sky as Ling Xiao threw out both of his fists. Blood chi surged around him. Bang! He was instantly sent flying a few hundred feet away before he could stabilize himself in the void. On the other hand, the left reverend only swayed slightly. He was still standing at the top of the sky like an ancient martial arts celestial, majestic and mysterious. Adjudication divine fist. It's indeed powerful. Unfortunately, your cultivation is still too weak. The left reverend said indifferently as he threw out another palm strike toward Ling Xiao. Die! Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp and contained a monstrous battle intent. He threw out a punch and the heavenly punishment divine fist carried the divine war energy as it charged toward the left reverend. Ling Xiao circulated the divine war energy to the maximum. The adjudication divine fist in his left hand and the heavenly punishment divine fist in his right hand attacked at the same time. It was extremely terrifying. Rumble. An intense battle erupted between Ling Xiao and the Left Reverend. Chapter 877. Ling Xiao should be proud to be able to fight against the left sovereign. However, judging from the situation, I'm afraid Ling Xiao won't be able to hold on for much longer. That's right. I didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so powerful. He might have broken the taboo and become one of the legendary 10 Ultimates geniuses. Everyone exclaimed in shock. In the face of the Left Reverend's terrifying divine Dao prestige, even Supreme Being experts would tremble with fear. If an ordinary Supreme Being were to fight with the Left Reverend, they would have been killed by the Left Reverend. Old Goat, although Ling Xiao is powerful, I'm afraid he's no match for the Left Sovereign. Taoist Wuliang walked to the side of the Old Goat with a worried look in his eyes. That's right. Ling Xiao's cultivation is still too weak. If he could break through to the titled Honorable Realm, killing the Left Sovereign would be as easy as killing a dog. Unfortunately, the War God Temple is too shameless. The Old Goat's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. Previously, the Old Goat had led the experts of the 3 major tribes to meet up with Long Lai and Fire Phoenix Sovereign. They wanted to stall the War God Temple for a while to create an opportunity for Ling Xiao. However, the left and right sovereign were too terrifying. The 3 honorables of the demon tribe were all killed in the battle. If the Old Goat had not used the Devil Saint's scepter to cast a forbidden technique to stop the left and right sovereign, the casualties would have been even greater. Fortunately, the War God Temple was in a hurry to kill Ling Xiao. Otherwise, they might have been wiped out. The Old Goat knew how terrifying and powerful a half-step godly realm expert was. If Ling Xiao can't win, I'll stop those 2 old bastards even if I have to risk the destruction of the Devil Saint's scepter. The Old Goat's eyes were filled with determination. The Devil Saint's scepter was a flawless divine artifact. It was a treasure left to him by the Devil Saint. It was also the sacred artifact of the demon tribe. It contained unfathomable power. If the Old Goat destroyed the divine artifact, he might be able to severely injure the half-step godly realm expert. War God Temple, you destroyed my crystal palace, killed my tribesmen, and injured my nephew. I swear that I won't rest until I destroy the War God Temple. Long Lai's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he stared at the people from the War God Temple in the sky. Everyone from the dragon race was very nervous. Although they didn't think that Ling Xiao had the chance to defeat the Left Reverend, they still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts. What if a miracle happened? Rumble. Ling Xiao's battle intent soared as he circulated his true dragon body and God of War art to the maximum. He used the Judgment Divine Fist and Heavenly Punishment Divine Fist to fight the Left Reverend. The sky shattered, and chaotic currents surged. Ling Xiao and the Left Reverend were like gods and demons fighting in the chaos, unleashing terrifying auras. The entire sea of reincarnation began to boil. Huge waves surged into the sky as the chaotic power of reincarnation permeated the air. Normally, everyone would be worried about the reincarnation storm and the strange and powerful reincarnation beast in the reincarnation sea. However, at this moment, everyone was staring at the battle in the sky with different thoughts. Rumble. The Left Reverend slammed his palm across the sky, shattering Ling Xiao's fist imprint. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao was surrounded by a golden glow. A 3-legged, 2-eared cauldron appeared in the air, ancient and mysterious. Gong! When the palm hit the King Heaven Devourer cauldron, the cauldron trembled, and dazzling magical symbols sprang up as it devoured the incoming attack. Die! Ling Xiao shouted, his eyes flashing with killing intent as he drew on all of the god power he had built up in the King Heaven Devourer cauldron. Ling Xiao unleashed a fist strike, combining the power of his fleshly body with the power of the war god. Instantly, he met the Left Reverend's attack head-on, causing both of them to shiver and fall back. Ru Yuanbo. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao and the Left Reverend had exchanged over 100 blows. By this point, Ling Xiao was getting a better understanding of the Left Reverend's battle prowess. Although the left reverend's fleshly body was only that of a paragon, it had been tempered by God power, making him far stronger than ordinary titled paragons. Of course, the left reverend had his nascent divinity, which had been fused with the godhood of a god spirit. It was almost like godhood, and could draw on the magical laws of the Tao of heaven to unleash unparalleled attacks. Although the left reverend was stronger than Ling Xiao, there were limits to how strong he could be. Ling Xiao used his true dragon body, myriad dragons god-slaughtering art, war god incantation, and heaven-devouring secret magic. And yet, he was only barely able to fight to a draw with the left reverend. Furthermore, Ling Xiao could see that the left reverend's forehead was glowing like a sun, as though he were preparing to unleash some sort of attack. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the left reverend clashed again, and godlight swirled out in all heaven and earth, radiating a terrifying aura. A very serious expression could be seen on the left reverend's face as he realized that this young man in front of him was no weaker than him in terms of battle prowess. Furthermore, he had all sorts of heaven-defying techniques at his disposal. If Ling Xiao could break through a few more minor levels, he might actually be able to slaughter gods. There was no way he could be allowed to live. The left reverend's eyes flickered with intense killing intent. "Prepare to die, Ling Xiao." The left reverend said, his eyes cold. Dazzling light erupted from his hand, which transformed into a black claw that slashed toward Ling Xiao's head. This claw was terrifying to the extreme. Even an immemorial divine mountain would be crushed into pieces by it. Rumble. Ling Xiao clenched the invincible fist seal, and his body shone with a dazzling light. Golden runes intertwined, and in an instant, they turned into streaks of dazzling lightning that shot towards the left holy master. Each and every bolt of lightning was as terrifying as tribulation lightning, and as thick as a mountain range. Whoosh! The left reverend's arms shook and turned into two black wings. They were like two peerless swords as they sliced through the lightning in the sky and slashed towards Ling Xiao. The black divine wings slashed down, and the sky was filled with sword chi. Ling Xiao felt as if his body was about to be torn apart. He didn't dare to be careless. He instantly used the secret teleportation technique and moved a few thousand feet horizontally. Only then did he manage to dodge the two black wings. Whoosh! The left reverend was like a shadow, moving with incredible speed. In the blink of an eye, he was right behind Ling Xiao, where he thrust his palms out like two terrifying saber beams that threatened to cut Ling Xiao in half. Gong! The King Heaven Devourer Cauldron unleashed a devouring power that devoured the left reverend's saber beams. The left reverend is strong, and the right reverend isn't much weaker. If the two of them attack me together, I'll definitely lose. I have to deal with the left reverend first. That's the only way I'll have a chance. Ling Xiao's eyes glittered as he made up his mind. Rumble. Ling Xiao was surrounded by a mysterious aura. The space between his eyebrows was as dazzling as a divine lamp. The illusory power of destiny gathered, and in an instant, the light became extremely resplendent. It turned into a blazing rainbow that pierced through space and shot towards the left reverend. Fate shatter. In just an instant, Ling Xiao used his birth chart power to unleash the first form of the life reversing technique. Chapter 878. The fate reversing technique was the strangest of the three divine techniques of the Scarlet Dragon War God. It was vaguely related to the secret technique of fate that Ling Xiao had obtained from the wordless heavenly book, but they weren't exactly the same. The secret technique of fate followed the will of the heavens. It used one's own fate energy to communicate with the river of fate and comprehend the will of the heavens to control the fate of all living beings. On the other hand, the fate reversing technique was a killing technique. It would kill one's enemy at the cost of 800 of one's own. It used one's own fate energy to condense supreme killing intent and unleash a terrifying force. Just like the first move, Ling Xiao used his own fate energy to unleash a terrifying attack that went straight for the left reverend's fate. This kind of power that directly attacked one's birth chart was extremely strange and difficult to resist. What? The left reverend's face changed drastically. He couldn't sense what kind of power the divine rainbow that shot out from Ling Xiao's forehead was, but it made him feel a sense of fatal danger. Rumble. The left reverend's body glowed brightly. He channeled his unparalleled divine force and his primordial spirit flickered with resplendent light. It was as if a dazzling crystal was rising in an attempt to stop the rainbow. Wang. The divine rainbow silently shot into the left reverend's forehead, setting off monstrous waves in his sea of consciousness. However, the crystal between the left reverend's eyebrows contained vast and terrifying divine energy. It was like a stabilizing needle that suppressed the surroundings. It actually blocked most of the power of the fate-reversing technique. Only a trace of it landed on the left reverend's illusory fate. The left reverend felt as if he had been struck by lightning. It was as if he had been struck by hundreds of millions of lightning tribulations. He began to tremble and spit out a mouthful of blood. What kind of power is this? The left reverend's face changed drastically as he looked at Ling Xiao with fear in his eyes. Life burning. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a hint of madness as he roared and continued to attack the left reverend. Ling Xiao knew that the resplendent crystal between the left reverend's eyebrows was the godhead of the left reverend. If it weren't for the godhead, the left reverend would have been severely injured, if not killed. However, Ling Xiao knew that he had to kill the left reverend as soon as possible. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by a blazing light. His blood qi was overflowing. A crimson flame rose and enveloped Ling Xiao in an instant. A mysterious power of law descended, and the life source in Ling Xiao's body began to burn wildly. In an instant, 5,000 years of lifespan was burned away. Ling Xiao's black hair instantly turned white. His entire body began to exude an incomparably old aura, but his eyes were incomparably bright. Boom! Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast as he pointed a finger at the glabella of the left sovereign. Monstrous killing intent gathered and a blood-red flame spread rapidly. It was as though he wanted to kill the left sovereign. That was the flame of life, burning one's fate. It was extremely terrifying. After Ling Xiao became a supreme, he only had 10,000 years of lifespan left. However, in order to kill the left reverend, he had burned 5,000 years of his lifespan. This power was earth-shattering. The left reverend actually felt the threat of death. Ling Xiao, I'm going to kill you. Boundless chaotic essence, sword annihilation, de Zhou Tian divine sword, slash. The left reverend roared as well. Terrifying divine light surged around him. Traces of divine light gushed out and turned into a dazzling chaotic mist. Suddenly, heaven and earth trembled. Within the endless chaos, a huge sword radiance was formed. It was extremely dazzling as it cut across the sky and slashed towards Ling Xiao. Everyone was baffled, and their eyes were filled with doubt. They didn't even know how Ling Xiao had attacked. He had actually injured the left reverend and even used the de Zhou Tian divine sword. The de Zhou Tian divine sword was also a supreme technique of the war god Hall. The de Zhou Tian divine sword was formed by the chaotic energy. It was invincible and could destroy everything. The right heavenly master, who was in a white robe, was also shocked. The de Zhou Tian divine sword was the supreme technique of the left reverend. Ling Xiao had actually forced the de Zhou Tian divine sword out. It was evident that Ling Xiao's finger was so terrifying that the left reverend felt a fatal threat. This guy has obtained the inheritance of the war god's scarlet dragon. His means are strange. I have to kill him quickly. I can't allow him to develop any further. The right reverend thought to himself as a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. Swoosh! He took a step forward and the void shook. He was ready to attack Ling Xiao. Right Holy Master, the left Holy Master's battle with Ling Xiao is already considered bullying. Could it be that you are shameless enough to launch a sneak attack? A faint voice resounded. The Divine General of Time in a flash appeared before the Right Reverend. Divine General of Time. You dare to go against your superior? The Right Reverend's eyes flashed and his face turned gloomy. I don't think I'm going against my superior, do I? You gave me the title of Divine General of Time, but I never acknowledged it. I advise you not to make a move. Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to face your boundless god-slaying saber. The Divine General of Time said coolly. How dare you? You're a measly 9th-level paragon. You're like an ant. How dare you talk to me like that? If it weren't for the exalted war god, you'd already be dead. Since that's the case, I'm going to clean house today. The Right Reverend laughed in anger, his eyes flickering with cold killing intent as he locked onto the Divine General of Time. Ruyuumbo. A terrifying aura erupted between the Divine General of Time and the Right Reverend, as if a battle were about to break out at any moment. Rumble. Off in the distance, Ling Xiao was wearing white robes and had white hair. His face was ancient, but his eyes shone with boundless killing intent as the King Heaven Devourer cauldron appeared above his head. Instead of dodging to the side, Ling Xiao used the King Heaven Devourer cauldron to meet the Left Reverend's De Zhou Tian sword. As the terrifying sword light slashed down, the King Heaven Devourer cauldron shone with dazzling light, transforming into a terrifying vortex of devouring that exploded. Streaks of blazing light swept across the sky. Ling Xiao's body glowed with golden light. The Aries set appeared, and black runes appeared, shattering all the sword light. The power of the De Zhou Tian sword was so terrifying that even with the protection of the King Heaven Devourer cauldron and the War God armor, Ling Xiao was still injured by the sword energy, causing his 5 viscera and 6 bowels to tremble. However, after taking on the Left Reverend's De Zhou Tian sword, Ling Xiao's finger was right in front of him. Whoosh! The crimson-red flame locked onto the Left Reverend and instantly enveloped him. In an instant, a sea of fire rose and the heavens and earth trembled. Ag. Chapter 879. Everyone was stunned. They could vaguely feel that the scarlet flames had a fluctuation that could make one's soul tremble. However, the Left Holy Master's physical body was unharmed and his aura was still very powerful. However, the miserable howl made everyone's hair stand on end. Time General, get out of my way. The Right Holy Master's eyes were filled with rage as he sent a palm strike at the Divine General of Time. Right Reverend, let them settle this battle among themselves. Your opponent is me. The Time General's eyes glinted coldly as he threw a palm strike at the Right Holy Master as well. Bang! The two palms collided and the void trembled. The Time General trembled and took a few steps back. However, he still stood in front of the Right Holy Master. Time General, you're courting death. The Right Holy Master's eyes were filled with murderous intent as a violent aura emanated from his body. A terrifying black gold saber appeared in his hand as he slashed at the Time General. Rumble. The void instantly shattered as the Right Holy Master's saber slashed across the sky. It contained a majestic and vast power that seemed to be able to split everything apart and destroy the galaxy. It was unstoppable. Clang! The Time General looked solemn as a flawless white jade ancient sword appeared in his hand. It flowed with a mysterious light as it slashed at the Right Holy Master. The sword radiance was unparalleled. When it struck the black gold saber, it immediately bent. The Divine General of Time took advantage of the unparalleled distance and instantly soared into the air. He used the art of becoming one with his sword and charged down at the Right Holy Master. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as a divine light storm swept out in all directions. It was extremely terrifying. What? Why is the Time General fighting with the Right Holy Master? Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Could the Time General have betrayed the War God Hall? That's possible. No wonder Ling Xiao was able to obtain the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God. It turns out that the Time General is a traitor. Everyone's eyes revealed a look of understanding as they discussed animatedly. Who is this Divine General of Time? Why would he help Ling Xiao? Buddha Kasyapa, Emperor Qing, Zhao Ritian, and the others were very surprised. They thought Time General was from War God Hall, but they did not expect Time General to turn around and attack them. Rumble. The Left Reverend struggled in the void as he screamed in agony. His face was filled with malevolence and madness. The godhead that was as bright as a crystal flew out from between his eyebrows. It emitted a terrifying aura that instantly enveloped the left reverend. Die! The left reverend showed a pained expression. He roared and his godhead shone brightly. Divine energy flowed like water and wrapped around him in an instant, isolating him from the scarlet flames. The left reverend could already sense that his life origin was about to dry up under the burning of the scarlet flames. His soul was rapidly weakening, like a candle in the wind, about to run out of oil in an instant. This change scared the left reverend out of his wits. Hence, he did not hesitate to use the vast divine energy in his godhead to extinguish the scarlet flames. However, the left reverend was also severely injured. He looked at Ling Xiao with anger and killing intent. Ling Xiao, I'll kill you! The left reverend roared. He had just activated his godhead's power and consumed a large amount of his god force. If he wanted to make up for it, even a few hundred years wouldn't be enough. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached the peak, and his heart was filled with killing intent. Moreover, the left reverend could tell that Ling Xiao must have paid a great price to use those two attacks. He could not use them casually. Rumble. Chaotic chi permeated the air as streaks of sharp sword chi gathered, turning into streaks of scorching sword light. They were densely packed and shrouded the entire sky. De Zhou Tian Divine Sword Formation, Annihilate. The left reverend pointed at Ling Xiao and roared. Suddenly, sword rays filled the sky and fell on Ling Xiao. It was terrifying to the extreme. Shattering your fate and burning your lifespan can't kill you. A half-god level expert really is terrifying. But I've already weakened you by 90%. Today, I, Ling Xiao, will slaughter a god. Ling Xiao sighed softly, a trace of regret in his eyes. The fate-reversing art was so bizarre that any ordinary titled paragon would have had his fate shattered and his lifespan ended. However, the left reverend's godhead was filled with boundless power, and had blocked the first two attacks of the fate-reversing art. Although the left reverend had been seriously injured, he was still alive. A half-god level expert really was terrifying. However, Ling Xiao wasn't discouraged in the slightest. In fact, his desire to do battle surged. Ruyuumbo. He leaped into the sky, and the dragon's might permeated the air around him. His blood chi spread out like a great river. With a punch of the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique, a rainbow-colored divine dragon swept across the 9 heavens and attacked the left reverend. At the same time, Ling Xiao's King Heaven Devourer cauldron became a vortex of devouring power that pulsed with heaven-shaking devouring power. The sea of reincarnation was being devoured by the King Heaven Devourer cauldron, transforming it into life force quintessence that flowed into Ling Xiao. To Ling Xiao, the sea of reincarnation was a boundless treasure trove. It was because of the life force quintessence that Ling Xiao dared to use the fate-reversing art. Otherwise, he would have had to pay an unimaginable price to kill the left reverend. Ruyuumbo. Heaven and earth trembled as the 7-colored dragon swept through the air, its tail and claws slashing through the primal chaos sword light. At the same time, the King Heaven Devourer cauldron was like the mouth of a primeval beast, devouring all of the sword energy. Bam! Ling Xiao soared through the sky with the invincible fist seal in his hand. His eyes were dazzling as he sent the left reverend flying with a single punch. The left reverend was severely injured by the fate-reversing art, and his battle prowess was greatly reduced. He couldn't stand up to Ling Xiao's ferocious attack. Die! Ling Xiao said, his eyes blazing with killing intent. The power of the war god swirled around him, transforming into a judgment god fist that shot toward the left reverend. The left lord of heaven's eyes were filled with both shock and anger. His arms shot through the air as demonic chi rose around him. He actually transformed into a black divine eagle. His silver wings were like swords as he slashed through the air towards Ling Xiao. The left reverend was actually a demon ling. Silver-winged heavenly hawk. That's a legendary creature from the primeval times. It has the bloodline of the Gold Pond rocks. Who would have thought that the left reverend's true form would be a silver-winged heavenly hawk? Chapter 880. Clang. When Ling Zhao's fist landed on the wings of the left reverend, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. In an instant, the Judgment Divine Fist exploded and the left reverend felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Many of his wings were shattered and he was thrown into the reincarnation sea by Ling Zhao's fist. Swoosh! The left lord rushed out of the reincarnation ocean again. Demonic chi rolled around him and black divine light rose. His eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. His silver wings broke through the void and slashed towards Ling Zhao again. Ling Zhao, you deserve to die. At this moment, the White Tiger Guardian King, Vermilion Bird Guardian King, and Black Tortoise Guardian King of the War God Temple could not hold back any longer and charged towards Ling Zhao. Dozens of War God Temple sovereigns with terrifying auras were all on the move. They originally thought that the left sovereign could easily take down Ling Zhao, but they did not expect Ling Zhao's strength to be so terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had severely injured the left sovereign and gained the upper hand. Despicable War God Temple, let Grandpa take you on. Murderous intent flashed in the old goat's eyes as he charged towards the War God Temple sovereigns with Yu Chongshan, Maha, Long Lai, and Fire Phoenix Sovereign. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook as Long Lai and Fire Phoenix Sovereign blocked the White Tiger Guardian King and Vermilion Bird Guardian King. Yu Chongshan and Maha blocked the Black Tortoise Guardian King. The old goat held the demon divine scepter and his aura was extremely terrifying. He charged towards the War God Temple sovereigns with Daoist Wuyang. Long Outyen, Yueshen, and Phoenix Maiden protected Long Hanyan and the rest of the dragon tribe. They looked around vigilantly to prevent any sneak attacks. An intense battle broke out in an instant. The Time General was very strong. His attacks did not seem to contain any worldly energy. They contained the concept of time flowing and blocked the right sovereign. The right sovereign's infinite god-slaying blade was terrifying. Every blade contained a monstrous killing intent that was even more terrifying than the left sovereign's. However, he was held back by the Time General and could not help the left sovereign. He was so angry that he roared continuously. As for the left reverend, he was already being suppressed by Ling Zhao. Although the silver-winged sky eagle was extremely fast, Ling Zhao's teleportation technique wasn't much slower than the silver-winged sky eagle's speed. Furthermore, the silver-winged sky eagle had been heavily injured by Ling Zhao and its strength had decreased rapidly. It was already at a complete disadvantage. This battle seemed to have sunk into a stalemate. It would depend on who could hold on first. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Never had they imagined that Ling Zhao would actually be able to go head-on against the War God Hall, and even fight to such an extent. Most likely, after this battle, if Ling Zhao didn't die, he would become a legend. A legend of the War God continent. The number one person below the deities. It was likely that no titled supremes would be able to kill Ling Zhao. Among the crowd, Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian looked at each other. Both of their eyes revealed a trace of coldness. This can't go on. If Ling Zhao wins, we won't be able to live either. We must kill Ling Zhao. Good. Let the Space Vice Sect leader and my father take action and capture Ling Zhao's mother, Long Hanyan. I don't believe that Ling Zhao would disregard his mother's life. Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian communicated telepathically. Kunlun Mountain's Vice Sect leader, Space, had white hair and a dignified face. He looked like an immortal and was a veteran supremes. His cultivation was at the peak of 9th level Supreme Realm, and it was rumored that he could fight against titled Supremes. Murong Xuantian's father, Murong De, was the current head of the Murong family. He was a middle-aged man in black armor. His figure was extraordinary, and his eyes were like divine lamps. The aura around him was very strong, and he was also at the peak of 9th level Supreme Realm. The two of them looked at each other, and in an instant, they charged towards Long Hanyan. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. Space and Murongda's actions were beyond everyone's expectations. No one had expected Kunlun Mountain and the Murong family to attack the dragon tribe at this moment. Bastards, Are you trying to take advantage of the situation? You're courting death. Long Outyen's eyes revealed a trace of cold murderous intent. His body exuded a terrifying aura, and his dragon's might was vast. In an instant, he charged towards space. The 6 supreme elders of the dragon tribe had recovered most of their strength, and they charged towards Murongda. Get lost. Space's eyes flashed with murderous intent. When he saw that Long Outyen was only a half-step supreme realm cultivator, he immediately threw out a palm, wanting to send Long Outyen flying. He directly grabbed towards Long Hanyen. Boom! Long Outyen threw out a punch, and a terrifying force exploded. It actually shattered Space's palm print and charged towards him. Yueshin and Phoenix Girl also leaped over and fought Space together with Long Outyen. You're courting death. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He threw a punch across the sky and sent the left reverend flying. He was about to charge towards Space and Murongda. Ling Zhao saw through their plan at a glance. They actually wanted to capture his mother. Were they trying to force him to submit? Kunlun Mountain and the Murong family deserved to die. Ling Zhao, where do you think you're going? The left reverend's eyes were extremely sharp. His wings were like the clouds in the sky, and he soared through the sky. The silver light was dazzling, and it turned into a terrifying sword aura that charged towards Ling Zhao. He firmly entangled Ling Zhao, not allowing Ling Zhao to go back to help. At the same time, a few supreme beings of the War God Temple had also discovered the whereabouts of Long Hanyen and the rest. They charged towards them. Rumble. An intense battle broke out. Long Hanyen hugged Luoluo and was protected in the middle by the people of the dragon tribe. Her eyes were filled with worry and self-blame. Just now, the old goat wanted to keep them in the divine stone, but Long Hanyen rejected him. He wanted to observe the divine general of time, but he did not expect such a situation to occur. Long Hanyen was filled with regret and self-blame. At the same time, her eyes revealed a trace of determination. If she was really caught by the people of the War God Temple, she would immediately commit suicide. She would definitely not be a burden to Ling Zhao. Kill. On this small island, a terrifying battle broke out, causing the surrounding reincarnation sea to surge. Huge waves surged, and it was extremely terrifying. The old goat held the demon saint's scepter in his hand and poured in a monstrous amount of divine power. In an instant, the scepter soared into the sky like a heavenly pillar and swept away dozens of supreme beings. The old goat rushed towards Long Hanyen, wanting to keep them in the divine stone. Kacha! At this moment, the void suddenly shattered, and a bright light shone. A Buddhist hand stretched across the sky at extreme speed and grabbed towards Long Hanyen. Old bald donkey from the Bright King Temple, you're courting death. The old goat's eyes flashed, and a monstrous murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He recognized the figure in the void at a glance. It was the Trailokaya Vijaya of the Bright King Temple, and his strength was unparalleled. Wang! The demon saint's scepter soared through the sky at extreme speed and blasted towards the Buddhist hand. Behind him, the dozens of supreme beings of the War God Temple had already arrived. Their terrifying attacks swept across the sky, and the old goat had nowhere to run. The old goat gritted his teeth, and the King Heaven Devourer cauldron soared into the sky to block the attacks behind him. He wanted to stop the Trailokaya Vijaya as well. Chapter 881. Boom! The Buddha light hand shattered instantly, but Trailokaya Vijaya also descended from the void. Buddha light surrounded him as he put his palms together. A bright Buddha light swept out in all directions, instantly sweeping away Long Outyen and the rest who wanted to come forward. Then, he grabbed at Long Hanyen. Benefactor, you are fated with Buddha. Please come with me. Trailokaya Vijaya said with a smile, but there was an unquestionable determination in his voice. Get lost. Even if I die, I won't go with you. Long Hanyen's face was pale, but there was a trace of determination in her eyes. Don't worry, you won't die. Trailokaya said with a smile, but rays of Buddha light had already merged into Long Hanyan's body, imprisoning her. You're courting death. A monstrous killing intent exploded, causing the void to tremble and the heaven and earth to rumble. Time General, who was fighting with the right holy master, saw this scene and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He charged at Trailokaya. Time General, if you don't want Long Hanyan to die, stop. Trailokaya eyes flashed as he said indifferently. His palm was already on Long Hanyan's head, as if it would fall at any time. With Trailokaya strength, Long Hanyan's soul would be completely destroyed if he struck. However, Time General's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. His sword swept across the sky at an extremely fast speed. You're courting death. Trailokaya eyes flashed with killing intent. He was about to smash Long Hanyan to death with his palm. However, Trailokaya eyes were suddenly filled with terror. He suddenly realized that his palm could not land. In that instant, it was as if time had stopped. Even the terrified expression on the Trailokaya face froze. Time General's face turned extremely pale. His sword swept across the sky and pierced towards Trailokaya glabella. Trailokaya could feel the terror of this sword. He could see the trembling sword chi at the tip of the sword. He could feel the arrival of death, but he could not move at all. Poof! With a flash of crimson light, the Trailokaya forehead was instantly pierced through. Even his immortal spirit was annihilated. Even in death, his face was still filled with terror. What? Everyone was shocked. Even outer space and Murongda felt their scalps tingle. Just now, they felt as if time had stopped. The Trailokaya did not have the slightest ability to resist and was killed by the Divine General of Time with a single slash. Trailokaya strength was even more terrifying than Murongda's and Space's. However, he had been killed by the Divine General of Time just like that. Menstruation. You really did get your period. The Right Holy Exalt's eyes shone brightly as he stared fixedly at the Divine General of Time. His eyes were filled with greed. Perhaps others didn't know what was going on, but the Right Reverend knew. That was the power of time, a forbidden power that even the gods could not control. One of the Scarlet Dragon War God's 3 peerless divine arts, the Flowing Time Scripture, had been obtained by the Flowing Time God General. At the thought of how powerful and terrifying the menstrual cycle was, the Right Heavenly Lord's eyes were filled with a blazing gaze. Are you all right? The Divine General of Time's eyes were filled with incomparable weakness and his body was trembling. However, he hurriedly helped Long Hanyan up, his eyes filled with concern and worry. I'm fine. You are. Lingzhen. Long Hanyan trembled as she looked at the Divine General of Time. Her eyes were filled with anticipation and surprise. Hearing the 2 words Lingzhen, the Divine General of Time trembled and fell silent. Lingzhen, you are Lingzhen. I knew you were Lingzhen. You have finally appeared. If Xiao knew, he would be overjoyed. Long Hanyan trembled all over and instantly threw herself into the arms of the Divine General of Time. She cried tears of joy and her eyes were filled with tears of joy. Buzz! The light around the Divine General of Time slowly dissipated, revealing a middle-aged man in white. The middle-aged man looked very weathered. His white hair fluttered in the wind and he was dressed in a white robe. He was slender and his face was very handsome. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes and wisdom. He looked very ethereal and his face was extremely pale. His entire body exuded a lethargic aura as if he was a person who was at the end of his life and could die at any time. Long Hanyan looked at the man in front of her and could not help but fall into a daze. Lingzhen. He is my cousin's father and my uncle. Long Outyen was dumbfounded. His eyes widened and his face was filled with disbelief. This included Long Zhantian, Long Patian, the other dragon crown princes, the supreme elders of the 6 dragon tribes, and even Long Lai who was fighting in the distance. No one had thought that the mysterious divine general of time would be Lingzhen. No wonder the divine general of time would treat Ling Xiao differently. No wonder the divine general of time would help Ling Xiao time and time again. However, how did Ling Zhen become the divine general of time of the War God Hall? Ling Xiao, who was in the void above, was completely stunned. He threw a punch across the sky and it was as if the power of heaven's punishment had descended. He used the power of the war god to activate the heaven's punishment fist and instantly broke through the left reverend's sword chi. Ling Xiao looked at Ling Zhen in front of him and felt an extremely familiar aura. It was the feeling of being connected by blood. If it was before, Ling Xiao might have felt awkward and conflicted. He might not know how to face it. However, at Ling Xiao's current cultivation level, he already knew that he had not taken over someone else's physical body. Instead, he had reincarnated and obtained a second life. Therefore, Long Han Yen was his mother, and Ling Zhen was his father. Ling Xiao was an orphan in his previous life. Therefore, the feeling of having parents in this life was very warm and he cherished it immensely. Although Ling Xiao did not know how Ling Zhen had become the divine general of time, it did not stop Ling Xiao from feeling a trace of the deepest and most indescribable fatherly love from the divine general of time. Father! Ling Xiao called out softly and a bright smile appeared on his face. Ling Zhen's body trembled. When he heard the two words from Ling Xiao's mouth, his eyes turned red. However, when the words reached his mouth, he could not utter a single word. Father, you cannot use the Sutra of Time lightly. With your current body, you will not be able to withstand it. Don't worry, leave these two old things to me. Take a look. Today, I will slay a god. Ling Xiao said with a smile. His eyes revealed a monstrous desire to battle. Ling Xiao could tell that Ling Zhen had cultivated the Sutra of Time. However, the Sutra of Time contained the power of time. The power of time was known as a taboo. Legend had it that even the gods could not control it. Therefore, when Ling Zhen used the Sutra of Time, he had to pay the price of his life. Chapter 882. Xiao, don't use the fate reversing skill. That is a forbidden skill that harms the user. Just like the Sutra of Time, it damages the Taoist foundation. I'll go with you and kill these two old bastards today. So what if they are half deities? They are not real deities. I'm not afraid of them. Ling Zhen smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with lofty sentiments. Don't worry, father. I have the wordless heavenly book. Even if I use the fate reversing skill, I won't have to pay a huge price. Leave these two old things to me. Protect mother well. Ling Xiao smiled and flew up into the sky before Ling Zhen could say anything. Boom! A vast and terrifying aura exuded from Ling Xiao's body. His eyes were sharp as he stared at the left and right holy masters. It seems like I've been too merciful. As expected, your war god temple is despicable to the point where you would stop at nothing. Since that's the case, everyone from the war god temple must die today. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he struck immediately. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled, and the void shattered. Ling Xiao's body shone brightly as he transformed into a terrifying golden dragon, charging towards Murongda and the outer space. Ling Xiao hated the two of them to the core. Kunlun Mountain and Murong family had already been sentenced to death in Ling Xiao's heart. Rumble. The huge dragon tail swept over, containing a cold murderous intent. The dragon's scales were incomparably blazing, like a dazzling blade. What? Murongda and outer space felt their scalps go numb. They had not expected Ling Xiao to come for them. Their faces were filled with fear as they tried to use their teleportation techniques to escape. Ling Xiao had killed titled supremes and was a peerless genius who had severely injured the left holy master. The two of them might not even be able to take one blow from Ling Xiao. Lord Holy Master, help! Murongda and outer space begged the left and right holy masters for help as they ran. No one can save you today. The golden dragon's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was extremely fast and appeared behind the two of them in the blink of an eye. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. The left Holy Master's eyes were cold as he slashed his sword towards Ling Xiao. Kill him. The right Holy Master said coldly and attacked at the same time. Boom. The two celestial lords on the left and right made their moves. Sword chi and saber radiance intertwined in the void, enveloping the entire sky. The terrifying murderous intent was about to drown the golden dragon completely. Roar. The dragon's roar shook the heavens. The blood and chi around Ling Xiao's body surged, and there was actually 7-colored divine light flashing out. The aura around his body was terrifying to the extreme. He fought across the sky and instantly broke through the sword chi and blade aura that filled the sky. The golden dragon claw tore through the void with extreme speed. Boom! 2 golden dragon claws instantly grabbed outer space and Murongda, lifting them up as if they were chickens. Ling Xiao, spare my life. Ling Xiao, let us go. We promise that we will never be your enemy again. In the face of the threat of death, outer space and Murongda's expressions changed drastically. They both opened their mouths to beg for mercy. Even Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian, who were in the distance, turned pale. Boom! The golden dragon's gaze was indifferent. The golden dragon claw emitted a monstrous divine power. With a sudden pull, it actually tore outer space and Murongda's physical body into pieces. Even their primordial spirits were directly smashed into fine powder. Their souls were completely scattered. The deaths of outer space and Murongda immediately shocked many experts of the martial Holy Land. Everyone's hearts were cold. No one dared to have any ideas about Ling Xiao anymore. Under Ling Xiao's cold gaze, many people chose to lower their heads. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He instantly tore through the void and charged toward the War God Hall Supremes. In an instant, blood splattered through the air and miserable cries filled the air. Apart from the 3 protector emperors who could barely withstand Ling Xiao's attacks, the ordinary divine generals and supremes couldn't even withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. They were instantly torn to shreds. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. The left and right Holy Masters' eyes were blazing with murderous intent. They were extremely furious as they charged toward Ling Xiao. The strength of the 2 half-step divine spirits was extremely terrifying. At this moment, they attacked with all their might, wanting to kill Ling Xiao in one fell swoop. Die! Ling Xiao said, his eyes blazing with fighting spirit. Instead of dodging, he charged at the 2 half-step divine spirits. Drawing on the War God incantation, Ling Xiao unleashed the terrifying power of the War God. Simultaneously, he unleashed the Adjudication God Fist and the Heavenly Retribution God Fist. At the same time, the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron floated above Ling Xiao's head, pulsing with devouring power as it fought the 2 half-step divine spirits. The fighting caused heaven and earth to dim, and the sun and moon to dim. The sea of reincarnation was on the verge of exploding. Other than the time menstruation and the fate-reversing art, Ling Xiao was using everything at his disposal. The left and right Holy Masters were simply too strong. The left Holy Master and the De Zhou Tian God's sword were working together with the right Holy Master's boundless God-slaying saber. Even the Adjudication God Fist and the Heavenly Retribution God Fist were being suppressed by the 2 half-step divine spirits. After more than 1,000 exchanges, Ling Xiao was at a disadvantage, and was even injured. Even with the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron and the War God set, the sabers and swords of the 2 half-step divine spirits were still god items. Bam! Ling Xiao's punch sent the left reverend flying. However, the right reverend's blade slashed at Ling Xiao's back. Although he had the protection of the Aries set, Ling Xiao was still sent flying. He coughed up blood and his face was extremely pale. Xiao, Long Hanyan gripped Ling Zhen's hand tightly, her eyes filled with worry. Don't worry, Hanyan. Xiao, will be fine. Ling Zhen comforted her with a sharp glint in his eyes. His aura surged, and a mysterious power spread out, as though he were preparing to unleash a world-shaking attack. The people from the War God Temple, the three Dharmarajas, and Grand Master Splendor were all anxious. However, the battle between Ling Xiao and the two half-step divine spirits was too terrifying for them to interfere. What do we do, Grand Master Splendor? Ling Xiao is too freakish. He can't be allowed to live. If the two half-step divine spirits aren't a match for him, the War God Temple will be in real danger. The White Tiger Dharmaraja's eyes flashed with worry. Don't worry. Ling Xiao is dead for sure. No one will be able to save him this time. Grandmaster Splendor's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Boom! Ling Xiao's body shone with dazzling light, and his eyes flashed with madness. The clouds changed color, and heaven and earth trembled. A terrifying power of magical law descended, and Ling Xiao's body transformed into a vortex that devoured everything in its path. The void shattered, and a mysterious river appeared behind Ling Xiao. It merged with Ling Xiao, turning into a terrifying beam of light that shot toward the left and right holy masters. Heaven-defying will. Ling Xiao's face turned pale, but his eyes shone brightly. Chapter 883. Defying Fate was the last move of the art of defying fate. It was extremely powerful. It could defy fate and use the illusory power of fate to kill the enemy. The river of fate was connected to all living beings. Every living being had a string of fate in their body that was connected to the river of fate. Some powerful living beings might be able to control their own fate and sever the string of fate. They could transcend fate and not be bound by the river of fate. However, the left and right holy masters were definitely not one of them. Defying fate was to communicate with the power of the river of fate and sever the string of fate. A person without fate would naturally not be able to exist in this world. They would be completely obliterated in the end. The power of this move was extremely terrifying. However, with Ling Xiao's current cultivation, he would definitely suffer a great backlash if he used it. Especially the left and right holy masters. They were not ordinary living beings. They were half-step gods and possessed all sorts of unfathomable powers. Rumble. The river of fate and Ling Xiao merged into one and turned into a brilliant ray of divine light that slashed towards the left and right holy masters. What? The left and right holy masters felt their scalps go numb as they sensed a fatal danger. Without hesitation, they activated the power of their godheads. Boom! The glabella of both of them shone brightly as waves of divinity spread out. Ling Xiao could vaguely see that the string of fate of the left and right holy masters seemed to have strengthened significantly in an instant. The defying fate divine light slashed down and collided with the two strings of fate. Instantly, there was an explosion of divine light that was extremely brilliant. Rumble. Above Ling Xiao's head, the sky trembled as a black sea of lightning was formed. It was as if Ling Xiao had triggered some forbidden power and was about to unleash a terrifying heavenly tribulation. However, Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. At this moment, he only wanted to kill the left and right holy masters. Boom! The fate threads of the left and right reverends began to tremble violently. The two of them suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood as an expression of extreme fear appeared on their faces. The two godheads in the glabella of both of them dimmed as if they had used up a lot of energy. Slash again. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He activated the heaven-defying divine light and slashed down again. His face turned even paler, without a trace of blood. Rumble. Thunderbolts filled the sky, flashing with an incomparably terrifying destructive power, and descended from the 9 heavens. The power of this lightning tribulation was even more terrifying than Ling Xiao's Tao confirming supreme, as if it was going to destroy the world. The King Heaven Devourer cauldron floated over Ling Xiao's head, glowing with dazzling light as a terrifying vortex of devouring power sucked in all of the lightning. Ling Xiao was prepared to resist the heavenly punishment and kill the left and right reverends. Boom! Their threads of fate began to tremble even more violently, as if they were about to shatter at any moment. The originally sparkling and translucent godhood actually let out a crisp sound as it cracked open. What? The left Holy Master and the right Holy Master were scared out of their wits. They were bleeding from their 7 orifices, and their eyes were filled with terror. They had a feeling that the power of the heavenly law had descended, wanting to completely erase the two of them from the world. On the other hand, the power of against the will of the heavens was so illusory that they couldn't resist it at all. They could only activate the power of their godheads and hope that they could escape this calamity. Not good. The exalted celestials are in danger. Are you looking to die, Ling Xiao? The white tiger Dharmarajas, the vermilion bird Dharmarajas, and the black tortoise Dharmarajas' faces flickered with cold killing intent as they shot toward Ling Xiao. Screw off. Ling Zhen leaped into the sky, his eyes gleaming with radiance. The ancient white jade sword in his hand slashed across the sky. A blazing sword radiance sealed off the void, blocking the 3 guardian emperors. Ling Zhen looked at Ling Xiao with a hint of worry in his eyes. The price to pay for against the will of heaven was too terrifying. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. All he could do was try his best to block the 3 guardian kings for Ling Xiao. Ruyuumble. Heaven and earth trembled as the light of against the will of the heavens descended. The left and right holy masters felt as if they were about to explode, and blood sprayed out in all directions as they trembled violently. What kind of power is this? How could you possibly wield power like this? Damn you, Ling Xiao. The left and right holy masters' eyes blazed with cold killing intent as they howled in rage. They could see that Ling Xiao wasn't in a good state. His face was ashen, and he was trembling, but he was relying on his willpower to hold on. Again. Ling Xiao shouted, his eyes blazing with the desire to do battle. Dazzling godlight erupted from him, causing blood to spray out of his fleshly body. Staggering backward, he dropped to his knees, suppressed by the power of magical laws. The 4th beam of against the will of the heavens descended, causing heaven and earth to tremble and the void to shatter. Rumble. The physical bodies of the left heavenly venerate and the right heavenly venerate actually exploded into a bloody mist. The 2 of them howled miserably as their primordial spirits were left floating in the void with 2 godheads wrapped around them. Ruyuumble. Finally, the lightning broke through the defenses of the King Heaven Devourer cauldron and bore down on Ling Xiao. Terrifying lightning slammed into him, causing him to tremble violently as he was sent flying. Meanwhile, Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with killing intent as he lunged toward the left and right holy masters. Are you looking to die, Ling Xiao? Bastard! The left holy master and the right holy master's expressions changed drastically. The lightning that filled the sky descended indiscriminately, enveloping Ling Xiao and the 2 of them. Streams of destructive godlight as thick as mountain ranges filled the air, pulsing with an aura that seemed capable of destroying anything and everything. They pierced through Ling Xiao's fleshly body and bore down on the 2 celestials. Ling Xiao was trembling as the King Heaven Devourer cauldron was destroyed. Although he had the war god armor set to protect him, he was still seriously injured and coughing up blood. As for the left and right holy masters, they were in even worse shape. They were only left with their nascent divinities, and even with the protection of their godhood, they were still howling in pain. Everyone was completely shocked. None of them could ever have guessed that Ling Xiao would single-handedly injure the left and right holy masters to such an extent that their fleshly body would be destroyed. He's only in the 2nd division of the Paragon level, but he already has the power to slay gods. He definitely deserves to be called a 10 extremes genius. That's right. It's too bad he offended the war god temple. They have a lot of resources, and a mysterious war god who hasn't even made a move yet. No matter how freakish Ling Xiao is, he's going to perish here today. Yeah. What a pity. The war god temple is really domineering. Chapter 884. Ling Xiao was definitely the most dazzling genius the war god continent had ever seen. Perhaps only the sword devil Duguqiubai from hundreds of thousands of years ago could compare to him. Everyone else, including the successor of the war god temple, Buddhist child Kasyapa, Emperor Cyan, and Zhao Ritian, was completely overshadowed. To be born in the same generation as a consummate genius like this was both a blessing and a curse. As for Long Han Yen, the old goat, and Dragon Proud Heaven, they were all visibly worried. The tribulation lightning was so terrifying that even Dragon Blazer, a titled paragon, had a very serious expression on his face. It was almost on the same level as the legendary god Tribulation, and they had no idea how Ling Xiao was going to deal with it. Cousin is going to be fine. Long Out Yen's eyes were filled with nervousness. He looked like he was talking to someone else, but at the same time, he looked like he was trying to comfort himself. After all, Ling Xiao's opponents were two half-god spirits, and his cultivation base was only in the second division of the Paragon level. It was going to be a very difficult fight. Ling Xiao was already seriously injured, and was using the heaven-defying art to destroy the fleshly body of the left and right celestials. If it weren't for the protection of their godhood, they would already be dead. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as a golden vortex appeared amidst the tribulation lightning. Then, the Heaven Devourer cauldron expanded to a size of 30,000 meters and began devouring the tribulation lightning. At the same time, Ling Xiao's aura seemed to vanish. Using the heaven-devouring secret magic to mask his aura, the Heaven Devourer cauldron devoured all of the tribulation lightning. Ling Xiao hovered there in the air, the Heaven Devourer cauldron floating above his head. Golden light swirled around him, and although his face was pale, his posture was as straight as a sword, and his eyes shone with intense light. The left and right celestials were now nothing more than nascent divinities floating in the air, their eyes filled with terror. If it weren't for the protection of their godhood, their nascent divinities would have been destroyed by the tribulation lightning. I'm going to slaughter a god today. Eyes flashing with killing intent, Ling Xiao summoned the King Heaven Devourer cauldron, which transformed into a golden vortex that shot toward the nascent divinities of the left and right celestial. Damn you, Ling Xiao! The exalted war god won't let you get away with this. Even if I have to self-detonate, I won't let you get away with this, you swine. The left and right celestials howled as they drew on the power of their godhood to try to break free from the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Rumble. All of a sudden, a terrifying fist appeared, pulsing with boundless power as it slammed into the King Heaven Devourer cauldron. Heaven Devourer cauldron, the cauldron, the Heaven Devourer cauldron, the Heaven Devourer of Heaven Devourer. Huh? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he realized that it was the magnificent sect who had made the move. Grand of Heaven Devourer of the of the Heaven Devourer. Who are you? Of God of Heaven Earth of Heaven's Heaven had. He could feel that Hua Tianzong's aura had become extremely terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the left reverend and the right reverend. It was as if Hua Tianzong had become another person. Ling Xiao instantly understood what was going on. It was likely that some powerful existence had possessed Magnificent Sect's body. Of all the people in the War God Temple, the only one who could make Ling Xiao feel so threatened was the legendary War God. I hate people named Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao said coldly. That's not your name. You must die. Grand of Heaven Devourer clan glared coldly at Ling Xiao. You're the War God of the War God Temple. Ling Xiao said, his eyes flashing coldly. You dare to be so arrogant with the power of a trifling nascent divinity? You have no idea how strong I am, you lowly ant. Even if I only have the power of a nascent divinity, I can kill you as easily as crushing an ant. Grand of Heaven Devourer clan said coldly, his body pulsing with a terrifying aura. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook as Grand of Heaven Devourer clan unleashed a fist strike toward Ling Xiao, filled with unstoppable god power. The War God Incantation. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He realized that Hua Tianzong was using the battle god's secret art. He had condensed a trace of the battle god's power into his fist. Not daring to be careless, Ling Xiao also punched out. Kacha! The sky shattered as dazzling lightning flashed across the void. The two fists collided, and a muffled sound came from the void. Ling Xiao was sent flying dozens of feet away. What? Everyone was shocked. Since when did Grand of Heaven Devourer clan become so terrifying? It's not Grand of Heaven Devourer clan's power. I'm afraid that the mysterious war god from the War God Temple has possessed Grand of Heaven Devourer clan's body. He's too strong. Someone said solemnly. War god. These two words seemed to contain some kind of demonic power, which made many supreme beings from the holy land of martial arts pale in fear. Boom! Grand of Heaven Devourer clan punched again, sending Ling Xiao flying. Ling Xiao had used the life-reversing technique and was severely injured. His body was in a terrible condition, and he couldn't withstand Grand of Heaven Devourer clan's terrifying fist strike. Ha ha ha! Ling Xiao, the war god is here. You're dead. How dare you go against the War God Temple? No one can save you. The left and right sovereign's eyes were full of hatred as they stared at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, who was originally like an ant in their eyes, had actually injured them to such an extent with his own strength. To them, this was simply a great humiliation. Ling Xiao had to die, otherwise, they were afraid that they would develop inner demons, and from then on, their cultivation would be stagnant. Moreover, the dignity of the War God Temple must be defended. Anyone who dared to provoke the War God Temple must die. Rumble. Grand of Heaven Devourer clan stood in the void with an extraordinary aura. Every punch he threw was earth-shattering. Even an immemorial divine mountain would be shattered by his punch. Although Ling Xiao tried his best to resist, he was still sent flying. He coughed up blood and his body began to crack. Xiao, Ling Xiao, save Xiao, Long Han Yen, who was in the distance, said to Ling Zhen with an anxious look in her eyes. Han Yen, don't worry. I'll do it. Xiao, will be fine. Ling Zhen's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. He could feel that Grand of Heaven Devourer clan's aura was very strange. His body exuded an extremely powerful force, which even surpassed that of the left and right sovereign. Just a primordial spirit possessed such a terrifying aura. How strong would the real war god be? Could it be that the war god had become a real divine spirit? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.